Hey everybody, Dusty Lane here, thanks for tuning in. Wanted to pop in here real quick before the episode starts. First of all, to apologize to you, our loyal listeners, for missing our previous episode release. We were supposed to have our Leprechaun 3 episode ready the day after St. Paddy's Day. Unfortunately, the universe had some other plans, and we had a couple of setbacks in Cinebite Studios in the form of a medical condition that needed some attention as well as a close personal loss. So we had to take a step back for a couple of weeks, but we're back at it, and dare I say better than ever. We've got some exciting changes to the podcast on the horizon in the form of a new setup and new types of content, so stick around for that. And finally, just want to say thanks. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking around with us as we dealt with some behind-the-scenes issues. To show our appreciation and to make up for the missing episode, please enjoy this supersized but laid-back discussion on Leprechaun 3 from 1995. Aaron Gobra, and welcome back to the program, everybody. It's the Cenobites back to raise a little hell, and we got the green beer flowing and the Irish whiskey out for this one, because we're talking about the reason for the season, baby. Grab yourself a pint of Guinness and a nice Jig's dinner and sit down for this one, because we're talking about Leprechaun 3 from 1995. I'm Dusty Lane.
I'm Jason Mitchell.
And we are the Cenobites.
Hello?
I came for you. We have such sights to show you.
It was an excellent day for an exhibition.
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in.
Play a game.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was. This is God.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
Let your brothers into that door!
But sometimes that is better.
Welcome back to Oblivion, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Once again, we're talking about Leprechaun 3 from 1995, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith, written by Mark Jones and David Dubose. I think Mark Jones was actually the director of the original Leprechaun.
Okay. Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones.
Brian Trenchard Smith has a lot of movies. I'm not familiar with a lot of them. One of them was that John Travolta movie, Michael. But he also did Leprechaun 4 in Space and Night of the Demons 2.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't seen the second one, but knowing Leprechaun 4, that totally tracks. This is, he might have some good stuff out there. This is not a good movie, guys.
No, like I said, I wasn't really familiar with the rest of his stuff, but I bet you he's got some, he's not really a horror guy, it didn't seem like, you know?
Oh, okay. Is this like a Stuart Gordon directing Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of thing?
Yeah, he's got more non-horror movies.
I see. So he was just taking a stab at it here.
I think so. A stab, if you would say. A shillelagh to the knee.
This is a Trimark Pictures joint. Also, Blue Rider Productions on this one. A runtime of 90 minutes. R-rated because we do got a little bit of nudity, a little bit of gore, I guess. I mean, there's not really much, but you see some stuff.
There's some cool shit.
Our setting is Vegas, baby, and it's the year 1995, so it's party time.
Hell yeah. It's party time, lads.
The plot here, I think, is pretty straightforward. Basically, a land pirate sells a statue to a pawn shop, and once again, like, don't take shit that doesn't belong to you. Like, Gupta fucking grabbing this medallion. Quit being greedy, Doug. I know you literally own a pawn shop.
Oh, see, he bought it from him fair and square.
For $20, dude. Did you see this fucking statue? It looked like it was worth probably at least $500 with like the level of detail that went into the sculpting.
Looked like some evil ass shit though. You know?
Right. So yeah, that guy got took by Gupta. Let's get into the characters here a little bit. Our cast list. We've got the Leprechaun himself, played by the incomparable Warwick Davis.
Yup.
I love him in this role in general, and like, I got a soft spot for the Leprechaun. I don't know what the fuck it is, but one of my earliest experiences in horror, and I kind of like, I had a buddy from then on, you know? I've seen every one of these fucking movies. I'm not super proud to say that, especially about the fucking WWE one. It's like Leprechaun Origins. It's a huge piece of shit. And that's one of only 2 in the franchise that doesn't have Warwick Davis in it.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, they go a way different direction on that. And it's even worse than this movie, if you can believe it.
It's got some wrestlers in it.
It does. It's got Hornswoggle, I think was his name. He was also another little person that had a pretty decent career
He
in
had,
wrestling
like,
for a while.
It was an Irish gimmick too, actually. That's probably why they did
Right,
that.
yeah. We've also got Scott here, played by John Gattens. Tammy, played by Lee Armstrong. I was in love with Tammy as a child. And watching this again, I think I might still be. And I think she loves me too. So we're going to...
Probably has nothing to do with her nipples, does it, Greg?
Well, you don't actually see the nipples. There's only one pair of boobs in this movie, and they are not Tammy's, guys. Don't worry.
Her nips are all over, though. You know?
Oh, is it like a Sally from Texas Chainsaw Massacre situation?
Yes, absolutely.
We've also got the great magician Fazio, played by John DeMita. He's a supreme douchebag.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
But not as much of a douchebag as Mitch, played by Michael Callan. But we do have some more, speaking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we got some horror veterans popping up in this. Caroline Williams playing Loretta. She was Stretch in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Rare.
We've also got the pawn shop owner Gupta, played by Marcelo Tubert. Art, played by Tom Duggan. Tony, his buddy, played by Roger Hewlett. Those are like two casino goons, basically.
Are those the dudes coming to get money?
They're like hassling Mitch for money that he apparently owes him. Yeah,
the one dude's pretty funny, actually.
They're both funny. Like it's funny seeing the other dude that looks like he came out of Ace Ventura. He's always wearing like a Hawaiian shirt, and he's like
the strong arm.
He's the muscle.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
But he's also dumb as shit.
Yeah.
So like every time there's a part in this where Art tells him like, "Oh, hey, tell him the thing," and he's like, "Hey, dress sharp. Be sharp." And he's like, no, Tony, not that one. He's like, the other thing.
Hey, yeah. Give him your money or I will kill you.
We've got an Elvis impersonator, of course, because we're in fucking Vegas. Terry Lee Crisp is that guy. Speaking of Vegas, man, I have just zero desire to go to Vegas.
Disagree. You need to go to Vegas once.
I'll try it out once, but like I can't promise I'm gonna have a good time. Like, I don't know, just the gaudy bullshit everywhere. The idea behind the town itself is kind of vile and disgusting to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny that people go there with their families, because
it's not a family place.
That's what I was saying. Like they might have some shows.
It's a place that you might be able to start a family if you visit one of the chapels.
Right. Like right away, I'm like, this is no place for kids ever. It doesn't matter if you're going Cirque du Soleil, whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, you don't take your kids to Vegas.
Yeah, probably not. We've got David Lewis on cinematography. This movie, I feel like, does have some good shots.
It's got good shots of Vegas.
But overall, I don't think the cinematography is great in this. No. It's very, like, shaky cams all over the place and, like, angles that might need a little bit of work. I mean, it doesn't look like a seasoned pro was behind the camera on this one.
Right.
And speaking of which, Dennis Michael Tenney on the music for this movie. Once again, that's another, like, it's very cheesy, like, it almost felt like Halloween Town to me a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
There was a little bit of, like, Danny Elfman Beetlejuice score going on.
Yeah, there's a...
But I do like the theme, the overall theme for the Leprechaun. Like, whenever he's around, like, a certain thing plays.
Yep, we're all entitled to our opinions here. I honestly didn't even really note much music. I noticed a little ditty when he came around, but other than that, yeah, there's no praising the score or like you said, any of the shots.
I mean, it's not worst. It's not the worst thing in the world, and it's certainly better than anything I've ever done.
Right?
Because I haven't done anything. But you know, it's a movie. It is a movie. It's got pictures and sounds and stuff. And let's talk about it, man. Like, to start with, I want to mention a couple things surrounding the release of the film and like the lore of the Leprechaun himself. This movie was, first of all, the first in the franchise that was released direct to video, since part 2 had an awful fucking box office reception.
Ouch.
That is also not a great movie. I mean,
direct to video in 95.
Guys, we're hanging out talking about a Leprechaun. None of these are going to be great. Great cinema. But the first film introduced us to a fun new character that they didn't really quite have ironed out yet, but they started to hone in on it in the second installment. Unfortunately, the rest of that movie around him was kind of trash, so this one went straight to VHS. Like, they didn't want to take that risk again. They believed in it enough to make it, but not enough for a theatrical release.
Ouch.
Which I'm actually proud of the strength of this character continuing for another 5 films. Like, good for you guys.
There's fucking 7? Of them?
I think there's 8, including the newest. Let me think here. Leprechaun 1 through 4, okay, and then we have The Hood, Back to the Hood, Origins, and let me see, The Leprechaun Returns, which is Also not Warwick Davis. He took a step back, and there's another guy that actually does a good Warwick Davis understudy job. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he embodies the character pretty well. But also, screenwriter David Dubose was given the opportunity to pitch this, not even having seen the first 2 movies. All he had to work from was Leprechaun in Las Vegas, like a title that he had to figure out. That's kind of a rough start, and unfortunately they had a small window to work in because the release date was already set before any work on the movie had been done. Like, damn, dude, I think I would have passed on this project personally.
Yeah, wow.
Second, apparently in this film, the Leprechaun's name is Lubdan. I don't remember him ever being referenced by name once in this entire franchise, including this movie.
Right.
But there's a theory floating around that each movie features a different leprechaun.
Wow.
Seems like the same guy to me, but maybe they all look and sound exactly alike. That, like, that's just what a leprechaun looks and sounds like. Which I don't know, seems kind of racist to me, but whatever, I guess. But yeah, getting into the movie proper here. Oh my God, man. The old school, like, Trimark production graphic this movie kicks off with tells us exactly how much cheese we've got coming our way. Like, we might as well be wearing helmets and fucking Double Dare shirts. Like, the golden age of entertainment right here, ladies and gentlemen. And to prove it, we get our title card, and the word leprechaun is written out in, like, gaudy, glitzy lights because we're in Vegas, and a big green 3 over top of it. The score sting on this surprised me a little bit. Like, kind of sounded a little more like it belonged in Hellraiser for a second.
Right.
But then we transition to some folky Irish music with a variation on our original Leprechaun theme as the opening credits begin to roll. Those pass by. As we open on our first images here, we get like a helicopter shot of the Vegas skyline, and the music changes to something, like I said, very Danny Elfman-like. And then we're on like a tour of the city.
Right. Yeah, the shots here are pretty good, actually, but I don't think it's that hard to get good shots of Vegas.
No, you just gotta
lit up.
You just gotta
nice.
kind of drive by and
right.
you know,
the lights are what really take it. So
well, to that point, like we get that Vegas skyline from the helicopter. We see like the Sphinx at the Luxor Casino, the like Moai Easter Island heads outside of another. We see the Stardust Casino as well. Ironically, this film was shot over 2 weeks in LA, and only a single day of which actually took place in Vegas.
Wow. Holy shit.
So we see a creepy van pull up outside of a pawn shop, simply called The Pawn Place. Straight to the point. I like that. The mysterious figure that gets out of the van reaches for the handle, and he's got Lucky tattooed on his hand.
Right.
And when he opens the door, we're introduced to the proprietor of said pawn shop, Gupta. And this guy ends up being pretty cool. I end up feeling bad for Gupta in the end. He was just at work, you know?
Yep.
So this guy that walks in with Lucky tattooed on him has one leg. He's using a crutch to hobble around on. He's apparently got one eye because there's a patch over his left, and he's got a hook for a hand. So I'm guessing the Lucky tattoo is supposed to be ironic, or maybe he got that first and then it proved him wrong.
I'm guessing he was lucky until he found this fucking statue.
Oh, that could be. We talked about it actually in the horror bracket episode. We talked about Tucker and Dale having a lot of luck in their movie, and that ended up being kind of a boon for them in a couple of the matches that they had.
Right.
But like they ended up going up against the Leprechaun, and that's one person you're not going to have luck over.
Right.
You know. So this guy hobbles in dragging a big bag, looks rather frazzled, kind of in a panic. Gupta welcomes him in, and the guy's like, "Hi, I need money so I can get the fuck out of here, please. Like, I need you to buy this statue in this bag."
Right.
And Gupta lifts up the fucking Santa sack onto the counter and reveals the statue. Not gonna lie, like I said, this thing's pretty dope. I kind of want one.
Little leprechaun statue. There's a fucking medallion on it.
Yeah, man, very, very nice work. Perfect likeness of the leprechaun himself. But Gupta doesn't seem to think so, though. He says, "What is this horrible thing?"
Yeah, right.
The guy says it's a good luck charm. Yeah, probably not. But Gupta says, "Yeah, I can see it's really working out for you, fucking throwing shade at this dude."
Right.
He goes to reach for the medallion hanging from this thing's neck, and the other guy reaches his hook hand up to stop him, and he's like, "Whatever you do, don't touch the medallion."
He's from Brooklyn now.
Like, he did. He had that fucking accent a little bit.
Don't touch the medallion.
Don't touch the fucking medallion, all right? I'm trying to tell you.
The gabagool.
My thing with this is he's like, "Hey, don't touch that medallion," which is the thing that looks like it's actually worth something on this thing. Like, it's all gold and there's a jewel in the middle of it. Could be cheap bullshit, but I don't know. It looks flashy.
Right.
Gupta promises not to touch it. He walks over to the cash register and says, "I'll give you $10. And he's like in the middle of saying $10, and the dude shakes his head and he's like, "No, no, that's not enough."
All right, 20.
But Gupta switches it to 20, and this dude's okay with that all of a sudden. like I said, dude, this thing, you can get way more. Haggle a little bit.
It's because he knows. He just needs to get rid of this fucking thing.
He just
Get
needs
out of
enough
town.
gas to get out.
Yeah, get me out of here. You know.
So he pinches the money in his little claw thingy and he pieces out. Gupta pokes at the medallion and immediately takes it off the statue so he can take it over to his magnifying glass and examine it, trying to appraise it.
Right. And this is when the statue comes to life.
Yeah. The leprechaun.
You see his gross fucking werewolf-looking leprechaun hand.
It does look super werewolf-y, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Big time. It's almost like the werewolf transformation kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hairy.
Elongated. He does have rather big hands, I noticed. But yeah, the leprechaun transforms from stone into his normal form, and he stretches his hand out and his bones are cracking all over the place. Pretty cool sound effects on this. Good Foley. But after examining the medallion, Gupta decides it's dog shit as well. He's like, oh, that was a waste of $20. He says it's so cheap it might break, but when he turns around, the leprechaun is gone, and in the place of it is of the statue is now a huge pot of gold coins.
How lucky.
Yeah, if you were that guy, like, would you know that, like, he obviously knows that the leprechaun would come back to life. But then after the leprechaun leaves, I mean, I guess it depends on perspective, but like in terms of what Gupta is seeing, oh, why didn't that guy just take the medallion off and all of a sudden you get a pot of gold? This is awesome.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, something's kind of fishy here, huh?
So Gupta smiles and, kind of impishly and bends down to check the coins out while we watch the leprechaun's shadow creeping up behind him. And Gupta calls himself a genius for some reason while the leprechaun walks across his glass display case. Gupta's over there congratulating himself on making a great deal for the $20 he just spent because now he's got a huge ass pot of gold.
Yeah.
But just then, the leprechaun launches himself at him, latches onto his back, biting off half of his ear.
Yeah, he's got a little one-liner here. I like Indian food, so spicy.
Come on, dude. The first thing out of your mouth couldn't be more racist. Fuck off, leprechaun. You're an asshole. Well, again, let's keep in mind 1995.
Right.
I feel like we say that all the fucking time. 1986, you guys.
Sorry, we're constantly apologizing.
1971, you guys. Right, yeah.
Insensitive.
So Gupta's like, who the fuck / what the fuck are you? And obviously the leprechaun explains that he is indeed a leprechaun. I love that in every damn movie, he has to explain this to someone. Like, I get it. I'd want some clarification in that moment too. It's just funny that every single time we address some character's what the fuck moment, it's like, what is happening here? When it's also kind of obvious, like, just look at him for a second.
Right.
Whatever your first guess is, yeah, that's it.
Well, he's not a ghost.
Yeah, he's not a demon. He's not a zombie. He's not a fucking... He's none of the above. What's left, by process of eliminations, clearly a leprechaun.
Who else carries a shillelagh?
Buckles on his shoes and stuff. So Lep says, hey, you're a greedy bitch. Give me my gold back. But not just that. He has to say it in rhyme.
Here we go.
This is one of the fucking things about the leprechaun that I can, like, now as an adult and I see the light, I'm like, really, everything has to be a rhyme? Because in some of the other movies, he does have lines that he is delivering that don't carry that cadence. Okay. So it makes it silly the whole time when all he fucking says, like in this movie, is everything that comes out of his mouth is a rhyme.
Yeah.
But in the other ones, it kind of makes him more menacing that he's capable of just, like, having a conversation with you for a minute. And there's, like, sort of an intelligence behind that character's eyes that makes him scary, that makes him threatening.
Yeah, you definitely don't get that in this one.
No, not much.
No,
and it's because of the fucking rhymes.
Right.
He goes, I'm a leprechaun, me lad, and you're a greedy thief. For trying to steal me gold, I'll be giving you some grief. And he takes his fucking shillelagh and he cracks this dude in the legs a couple times to bring him down to his level, I fucking love Warwick Davis in every one of these movies. I know he was Wicket the Ewok as a kid in Star Wars. I know he was Willow. I know he was in the Harry Potter movies, etc. But this is him. This is his character. He's got a menacing presence on screen as this character, despite the small stature, despite the fact that he's cracking those jokes, giving the one-liners, constantly fucking rhyming. He's also vicious. Mm-hmm. Like, even in that first movie, he's tearing into people and biting their faces and pogo sticking on their chests and shit. Like, this dude does not fuck around. And in this scene, the power with which he smashes this guy's legs with his shillelagh, man, it always makes me go like, oh, God.
Shin.
But I like the way they can take a character that doesn't seem like much of a physical threat, and they let you know, nah, dog, like, he ain't nothing to fuck with. Like, a lot like a Chucky.
Right.
So, of course, they have to throw in something about his shoe fetish here. In the first movie, he's obsessed with cleaning shoes. He also makes a reference to it in the second movie, and here we are seeing him do it again. I mean, you should appreciate that, right, Jason? you and old Lep should be thick as thieves. You guys both love fucking shoes.
Yeah. I ain't fucking no shoes.
Yeah, he does seem to get more out of it than just, oh, cool, my nice crispy pair of shoes. He compliments this guy on the quality of his shoes, but then tosses one to the side and bites his fucking big toe off.
Bites his toe off.
He walks toward him and says, I think I'll whack you in the head 12 times until you're dead. This is exhausting to listen to. I'm sure it was exhausting to have to do that in every fucking take.
Take 58.
Oh, no. There's no way, dude. I guarantee on like at least 90% of this movie, they did one take and they were like, I think we got it.
Yeah, that'll work.
But no, now we're back to like Stanley Kubrick directing Leprechaun 3, and he's like, no, I need more audio on this one. Take 113.
More emotion, please.
So Gupta lifts his hand to defend himself and lifts the medallion along with it, which freaks the leprechaun out, and he backs up and yells, take it away! And here we have another inconsistency for the franchise, and that is what the leprechaun's weakness is. In the first one, it's shamrocks, 4-leaf clovers specifically. In the second one, it's cast iron, which is like a traditional fae thing, like fairies and shit. But now in this movie, it's a medallion, which is one thing that reappears later in the franchise. I think it comes back in the Hood movies.
Oh, okay.
Didn't you say you watched one of those recently?
Yeah, I didn't get very far.
Can I ask why you did that?
Same reason we watched this one.
Yeah, but we're not covering
just
that
had
one.
to, you know.
You were just curious about the rest of where this could possibly go.
It wasn't good, and it had iced tea in it.
Yeah, the leprechaun's like, speaking of rhyming, he actually raps in that one.
It's, I just can't even. Iced tea was just not good at all.
I don't know that he's a great actor in the first place. some of his deliveries are a little much.
Not a very great musician either.
Wow, all right.
You ever listen to Body Count?
And nothing's ringing a bell off the top of my head.
That's Ice-T's death metal band.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? What's up with all these, actors transitioning into metal like Christopher Lee? We talked about in the last episode, Vera Farmiga has a metal band apparently. What the fuck is going on? But it's strange we keep hopping around to different things, kind of lending credence to the idea that each movie features a different leprechaun. Like, I don't know, they might be onto something.
They're just saying that to cover up the bad franchise.
That very well could be. So Gupta realizes the Lep is afraid of the medallion and keeps it held up. And more illustration of Lep's brutality. He says, stay the fuck back. Like, I'll tear your eyes out and rip your face off. Like, damn, dog, calm down.
Please. I want to see that.
Well, like, why even make that effort when you have magic, my dude?
Right. Maybe he was going to do it magically.
Well, he whacks Gupta in the knee, and he says he's going to take his gold and be gone. And as he passes Gupta holds up the medallion again, and Lep shies away from it, and he runs into the back room. But as he does, a single coin drops from the pot. And we know where this one's going. There's a common thread through these movies. Like, why can't he be satisfied with 99 coins? He's always chasing after the protagonist because of one single measly little coin. There are theories that, like, the less of the coins he has, the more his power diminishes, which is, tracks in this movie. So, I mean, 100 coins equals 100%, I guess, but 99 is still pretty good.
They're always after me, Lucky Charms.
So he runs back into the back room with his pot of gold. Gupta runs up and locks him in, saying, now you and your gold belong to Gupta. And we cut to our main character, douchey-ass Scott. Naive as the day he was born, he's just cruising the strip, listening to some rockabilly music, until he sees our love interest Tammy broken down on the side of the road trying to hitch a ride. And I mean, I can't blame him in the slightest for pulling over. She's fucking
about
gorgeous.
Runs her ass over, dude.
She does, almost, yeah. I had a huge crush on Tammy, dude. She's got a little bit of an Alicia Silverstone thing going on.
Oh, yeah.
But her Volkswagen Beetle breaks down on the side of the road, and she's got her thumb in the air trying to hitch a ride to work, and Scott, just driving down the road, is enamored at the prospect of just being in Las Vegas. He's just staring around at all the pretty lights, completely distracted, like, golly gee, I can't believe I'm actually in the greatest town in the world, Las Vegas. Boy, I'm really living it up, like just...
Gee Willikers.
And because he's so wrapped up in it all, he doesn't notice Tammy in the road and almost fucking hits her. So he didn't actually make the decision. The decision was made for him, kind of fate intervening, perhaps.
Right.
He swerves off the road in a shitty Ford station wagon, and this is like clearly a hand-me-down from his parents, like upgrading their ride.
Oh,
like they're done with this. But I thought it was fun that he had a pair of fuzzy green dice hanging from the rearview mirror. tying together our two themes of the movie here.
Mm-hmm.
Tammy runs over and says, "Oh, you missed us both. You want to back up and try that again?" Fuck yes, roast his ass. I hate Scott. He apologizes, but she's like, "Whatever, dude. Don't worry about it. It happens all the time." Does it really?
Probably in Vegas, dude, for sure.
Almost getting hit? Oh, yeah, I guess you got a bunch of fucking drunk people driving around trying to get to the next casino. I don't know what's with this dude's wardrobe. He's got like a black undershirt on under apparently another white long sleeve tee or something. And I only know that because his button down he has on over that is rolled up, the sleeves are rolled up to reveal that. And he's got a nice looking watch on, but it's ruined by the fact that he's also wearing a big stupid vest with cargo pockets all over it. Like, this dude looks like he's trying to find the Vegas reservoir to get some fucking fishing in.
Yeah, it's just laying in how fucking geeky he is,
Yeah.
The way that he acts when he's talking to Tammy and stuff through this whole movie is just, boy, you never seen a pair of titties before.
Yeah, he's super like sheltered, naive, like I said. He's just like finally seeing the world for the first time and he's blown away by it.
Well, he's just trying to be, he's trying to save the day the entire movie, which is kind of... You don't fucking know Tammy, dude.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even hinting like she was going to sleep with you either way. So, like, why don't you fucking get on the road, Scott?
That's another point that I think I made later on in my notes is like, you guys just met like 3 hours ago.
Right.
Like, what the fuck is all this commitment?
She's a fucking magician's assistant.
What's wrong with being a magician's
assistant? I thought she was going to say she was working, I work at the casino. And he's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, hey, dumbass. She probably fucking...
I'm a dealer. I'm a fucking,
Oh, okay. Get out, Tammy. Get out.
Well, there's nothing that's, not good enough for Scott. All right. So meanwhile, Tammy is very sensibly dressed in like a white long sleeve top, black and white checkered shirt, black belt, black tights, black shoes. She's got it going on. That doesn't last long because pretty soon into this movie, once they get into the casino, that all changes. And she's wearing one outfit for the rest of it. But I do have to mention, though, not a great idea to literally stand in the middle of the lane when you're trying to hitchhike.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure that probably raises the chances of being noticed, but it also raises the chances that you're fucking checking out early, whether you want to or not.
Right.
But Tammy asks Scott, she's like, do you know anything about cars? Because this one doesn't work. I would say to the answer to that is very clearly no. This dude's like 14 by the looks of things.
Right.
He ignores the question and introduces himself instead. Okay, cool. Still need an answer. He's like, what seems to be the problem? And she goes, well, obviously I don't know. That's why I literally just asked you, dipshit.
Right.
And he opens what we in America would assume is the hood. But remember, this is a German vehicle. So when he opens it, there's nothing there. And he says, there's your problem. You don't have an engine.
Right.
Good one, buddy. He walks around back and has her try to start it. It turns over and runs, but it's like sputtering like a Porky Pig cartoon.
Right.
She gets back out and says, what do you think? And he answers, have you ever blown a rod before? And the look she gives this dude is like, okay, jackass, nice talking to you. I'll wait for the next guy. She goes, excuse me? I'm not that easy. And he's like, no. See, there's pistons and there's rods. And then he kind of fucking like trails off. Like, clearly she doesn't give a shit. She just needs to get back to work, She offers him $10 for gas.
And a TJ for a ride to Chicago.
I'll pay you $20 just to sit in my car. But he says, forget it. Your money's no good here, Mr. Torrance. Get on in. And he asks where she works, and she answers Chicago. I mean, agreed, dude. I'd want out of there, too, for whatever reason. And I've never been there, like I said, but like, not speaking of from experience, but Vegas just turns me off, dude. Everything wrong about our society perfectly packaged in a little spot in the middle of the damn desert. No, thank you. Chicago sounds nicer. I've been there a couple times.
Disagree.
He goes, I actually would have taken you to Chicago. I'm your slave. Please never leave me. This is the only time a girl has ever spoken to me besides my mom.
Ew.
So they get in the car and we cut back to Gupta's pawn shop. He's hobbling around after bandaging his foot and his ear, and he sits down in a chair and starts rummaging through a drawer because miraculously, he happens to have a CD-ROM all about mythology, legends, and folklore. So he's going to study up on this leprechaun problem he's got.
What a good source of information.
This thing fucking sucks, dude. He pops this ridiculous disc in the drive, and the menu that pops up on this old-ass computer, and oh my god, it takes you back, dude. It's got instructions, a slideshow, games, apparently. It's basically an early DVD menu.
It's terrible.
Remember that obsession with making the menu interactive?
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, how about we don't have to spend 10 minutes solving a puzzle and you just give me the option to play the damn movie? But this menu has options for fairies, gnomes, unicorns, leprechauns, mermaids, Bigfoot, and the damn Loch Ness Monster, who still owes me $3.50.
Fuck off.
He has to literally type the entire word leprechauns and hit enter rather than just clicking on it with a mouse. Like, how far we've come since this madness.
Oh yeah, there was no mouse, I don't think.
Fucking
This
took
is like
forever.
Linux.
He's trying to get fast information and he's like, L-E-P. Like, fuck, man. Come on, dude.
It gives us some valuable information that leprechauns were ancient elves that became obsessed with gold.
Right, yeah. The menu that pops up, like, there's terrible fucking animation of a rainbow and a pot of gold. And then this leprechaun pops up and says, "Oh, good day to you. The name's O'Reilly, and I'm here to tell you about leprechauns." And like you said, he's like, there were once magical elves in ancient times who became obsessed with riches and gold. And then we get a quick shot of the medallion again. And then we cut back to our buddy the leprechaun. I'm not calling him Lubdan. Fuck that.
He's counting his gold, and little motherfucker is missing one.
Right.
And he knows it.
Exactly. And here's another thing that I don't understand. Like, he always does this every fucking movie. He's like recounting his money to make sure he's got it all. And every time as he's counting, he doesn't realize one is missing literally until his hand is empty.
Yeah, and then he like double takes.
You can't pick up on that when you're down to like 5 coins and you're only on like 94 there, buddy.
He's a simple boy.
Like, my countdown would have been like 94, 95, 96.
Damn it.
Fuck.
Yeah. Well, he has to like look back and forth a few times too. He's like checking his hand to make sure it's empty, you know, like
yeah. You gotta know that's
know?
coming, dude. I would assume that as many times as you fucking done this, you'd know by the weight by now.
Right.
Anyway, he loses his shit, obviously, screams that he's 1 shilling short, and slams his fist down on the pot. We cut back to Tammy and Scott. You know, they get in the car. I thought it was funny, too. His car is one of the ones that has the automated seatbelt.
Right.
So, like, he closes the door and the fucking, like, strap is hanging there, and it's like...
Yeah. Dude, I had a car like that for my first car.
Oh, man. Fuck that. No, thank you. So we cut back to Scott and Tammy. He's staring out the window like, dang, look at all the lights. Like, no, dude, how about you look at the fucking road? You almost killed one person tonight. Drive like you got some sense. Tammy's like, yeah, it's great here. Super sarcastic. He asks where she works, and she answers the Lucky Shamrock. And he goes, what's that? And she looks at him like, are you fucking stupid? We're in Vegas. What do you think it is?
It's a casino, Scott. It's a
Yes,
fucking
Scott.
Casino, Scott.
The hell's wrong with you, Scott? He asks what her job there is, and she reaches over and pulls a coin from behind his ear and tells him she's a magician. Which, like...
How lovely.
That doesn't show anything to me. Like, literally, concealing a coin is one of the easiest things, and all she does is kind of reach over. She could have just been kind of palming it and, like, you know, does one of those things. But she immediately clarifies here that she's just a magician's assistant for now, but one day she hopes to have her own act.
Shoot for the stars.
That kind of makes her cooler in my book, actually. You don't see a lot of lady magicians out there.
I don't see a lot of magicians in general.
Not anymore. It was a very, like 80s, 90s thing. Like, that was kind of a big deal for a minute. That's when, like, David Copperfield came into, and Lance Burton, I think is his name. But then we get to the fucking 2000s and we got fucking Chris Angel and David Blaine, you know, just doing the shit out on the street.
Yeah.
But her delivery on that line made me chuckle too, though, because it sounded very much like, one of these days, Reamer, I'm going to own a big sports bar.
The only thing I can think is, mind freak.
Hey, when did Marilyn Manson start doing magic? This is weird.
Chris Angel fucking quit his job at Hot Topic and started doing magic.
Finally saved up enough to hit the road. So back in the pawn shop, Gupta's loading a revolver singing 1 little, 2 little, 3 little leprechauns. With our Leppy buddy, he magically opens a safe to stash his gold in for now until he can get that last coin back. But it was ironic to me that it was kind of racist and wrong on a couple different levels for Gupta, of all people, to be singing 1 little, 2 little, 3 little leprechauns, because the original lyric of that is 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians.
Oh, what?
But here's the thing, they mean it as in Native Americans in that song.
Mm-hmm.
But Gupta is an actual Indian,
Right.
like from India.
Right.
So like, there's just, we probably could have cut that one, guys. The CD-ROM confirms that the power of the leprechaun lies in the gold, and he'll use all of his magic to protect it. And Gupta says, yeah, okay, try to protect it from my hot lead, why don't you?
Hot lead.
Back to the car, Tammy asks if this is... Tammy asks if this is Scott's first time in Vegas, and he's like, yeah, I'm actually just passing through on my way to LA. She assumes he's trying to be a movie star, but he says, no, I'm just going to school. And he says it's his first year of college, and she says, oh, that's smart. Learn something worthwhile, you know? You can tell she's saying this kind of wistfully, maybe wishing she had done the same thing instead of ending up as a magician's assistant in Vegas.
Yeah. Yep. Sure thing. And you've never been to Vegas, but they always say that it's like you can be anything. It's kind of like going to LA. You can do anything out there, right? And you chose to be a magician's assistant.
Well, you can be a magician, you can be a dealer, or you can be a sex worker.
Probably pays way more.
There's not a ton of options other than that. I mean, okay, so let's be real here. There is like a city of Las Vegas, and there are residents who live in residential areas in Vegas, but the only thing you see of Vegas is that fucking, you know, the strip with all the casinos, and that's all that Vegas is about. But no, there actually are like regular inner workings of a normal fucking town in there too. So we're being a little unfair with that, but it's funny, so I'm going to keep on doing it.
Hopefully nobody hears magician.
So he says he just wanted to swing through Vegas and see what it was like. She says, do yourself a favor, don't stay long. Vegas has a way of latching on to a person. You want to go, but you just can't. And we cut back to the CD-ROM at the pawn shop, and it's explaining potatoes are a leprechaun's favorite meal. All right, come on now. Are we really doing that? There are definitely Irish people who don't like potatoes, guys. Come on. Enough with the stereotypes.
Are you sure?
I mean, I'm pretty sure. There's got to be a couple. Like, I'm mostly Irish, I think, and
I
I'm
feel
not
like everybody likes potatoes.
I'm not like crazy about potatoes, you know. Like
potatoes are pretty good though.
They're pretty. They're good. They're all right. You can do lots of stuff with them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Potatoes and eggs, man. So many ways to cook them. But, you know, the thing says, like all good Irishmen, he loves his spuds. And Gupta is probably thinking, good, not a potato to be found in this place. I'll never give that asshole a potato. While a leprechaun loves potatoes, he'll take a bite out of anyone who steals his gold. Damn straight. We see that in every movie. Leprechaun trying to fucking eat people.
Right.
The CD-ROM says, woe betide anyone who steals a leprechaun shillings. He'll batter and brain them. He'll mangle and maim them. All right, damn, 1995 children's book. Let's calm down a little bit. It's getting a little graphic. But Gupta comes up to check on the gate he locked earlier and notices the coin on the floor.
Oh, shit.
And he's like, okay, now let's go find your little brothers and sisters. And he walks back into the back room, gun drawn, while the CD-ROM mentions that if a mortal gets a hold of a leprechaun's gold, he'll be given one wish for every shilling in his possession.
Nice.
And he can have anything he wants in the whole world. And there's a bunch of graphics that pop up with, like, you know, huge arms replacing the guy's regular arms. And there's like a sexy blonde lady in a bikini. And then one of these thought bubbles just contains a huge sandwich. What a shitty wish that would be.
I don't know.
You're wasting a wish on something you can just go to the kitchen and make real quick. Like, fuck off, dog.
Maybe you don't have everything you need.
Make it worthwhile.
Have you ever had a really good sandwich, Dusty?
Yes. I've had plenty of good sandwiches, but like, I'm not going to waste a fucking wish. You know, like everybody wishes for like, oh, I wish I had all the money in the world. I don't think I would wish for a lot of money, but I would wish to always have the exact money that I needed for the thing that I wanted or wanted to do. That way you're not like stockpiling shit and you can do maybe some good with it and you don't have to worry about like anytime you want a thing, you just got that much, you know? That seems like a better way to go to me. Nobody's going to be trying to rob you because you don't have any more.
I want it all.
Or they're going to be kidnapping you because now you're their golden goose. You know?
Golden goose?
Well, I'm saying like, he lays gold eggs.
A goose.
A goose. But like, you can have anything, dude. Why make it something that only lasts you 10 minutes? You know?
Oh, yeah.
But Gupta creeps around in his storage room and gasps when the leprechaun kicks something over as he runs away, and all we see is his huge shadow on the wall. Meanwhile, Scott and Tammy finally pull up in front of the Lucky Shamrock. Tammy thanks him for the ride and gets out, making Scott realize he's got to say something else before she gets away.
Right.
And he runs out and says, gee, I've never been in a real casino before. Oh, you don't say. She says, no, forget it, dude. You got to be 21. Fuck off, tall child.
Right.
And he says, I thought maybe you could sneak me in. And she's like, and risk my job, Dick? No, I'm good. She's like, not only could I lose my job, my boss could lose his license, and you most definitely will lose your shirt. Which is probably a good thing after talking about his wardrobe earlier. You gotta get some new stuff.
He's got like 5 shirts on anyway.
Oh yeah, he won't miss one shirt of the 17 he's wearing. But he just stands there kind of looking pitiful until she says, all right, if I let you in, you got to promise me something. No gambling. Just take a look around and skedaddle.
I'll sneak you into the bar, but you can't have a drink.
Right.
Deal.
This is the pissing end of the pool. This is the non-pissing end of the pool, all right? Keep away from the pissing end. He's like, all right, that sounds good. And then he asks who the magician is that she works for, and she goes, the Great Fazio, which is a painfully 90s Vegas stage name.
Fuck you, Fazio.
Seriously. He goes, what's a Fazio? And she says, a Fazio is a mediocre magician who couldn't pull a rabbit out of a pet store. She goes, but it pays the bills, so whatever. Before they walk in, she reminds him, hey, no gambling, Dick. Repeat it back to me. What did I just say? No gambling. And she's like, just in and out, be on your way. He's like, well, wait a second. What if I come to your show and then we get dinner afterwards? Ooh.
Nice try, kid.
Somehow, instead of saying, oh no, without your parents here to pay for me babysitting you, I'm not sure that's a good idea. She actually responds, it's a possibility if I'm not busy. Bro, I'm not one to buy into the whole out of your league thing, but there's no way this woman is giving this barely post-pubescent teenager the time of day.
Wrong.
Like, he's probably still having wet dreams, I would imagine. He just like melt into a puddle at the sight of her naked. I would almost pay to see that just to laugh, you know?
Poor little bugger.
Back at the pawn shop, Gupta keeps just barely missing the leprechaun. And then we get this fantastic sequence of the leprechaun using his magic to trick Gupta. Now, I say fantastic sequence in terms of like what we're doing here, not the execution of it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's hiding in a little tube, and he casts an image of himself rattling some chimes as a distraction. Meanwhile, he's turning this Cupid statue to face Gupta until it's pointed at his arm, and then he pantomimes loosing an arrow, and the statue shoots the arrow into the arm of Gupta, and he freaks the fuck out. I just love the shots of him like gesticulating his magic, but Gupta drops the light and the medallion and fires at the location he thinks the leprechaun is in, but no dice. That's a mirage, and he just shoots a fucking mirror.
Right.
The leprechaun just laughs at him, and he pops up saying, if you're gonna linger, I'll give you the finger. And he pokes a finger into Gupta's gun and kind of makes a firing gesture with his thumb, and the gun discharges back onto Gupta, making him fall backwards onto the floor.
Like a fucking Looney Tune cartoon.
Exactly like a Looney
shoves
Tune
his
cartoon.
finger at the end of the barrel.
I'm
and it
surprised
blows
the
it
barrel
back.
didn't split into 6 sections.
I like paused it trying to catch that. Like, did the gun explode? Because that's what would have had to have happened. But yeah, straight up Bugs Bunny with his finger in the end of the fucking gun. It blows up in reverse. Which didn't kill him, though.
Which would never make any sense because that's not the way the bullet is pointed.
It discharges backwards.
Anyway. Lep starts to creep toward him, but Gupta picks up the medallion and shoves it into his mouth, causing all this green liquid to spill out. Like,
So that was pretty cool.
I guess leprechaun blood?
Yeah.
Some kind of like, I don't know, I guess that's the only thing that really makes sense to me. It looks like the fucking reagent from Reanimator, if we're being totally honest.
Oh, yeah. So he has to have the necklace on to turn back into stone. If it touches him, he bleeds.
Apparently,
Okay.
yeah. And so that, like, I was thinking in this moment, dude, grab the fucking chain while it's in his mouth and fucking like flip it over his head and you're good.
See, I don't think he realizes either because he's an idiot.
Well, there's also like if you find yourself in one of those situations, maybe you're not thinking clearly enough to put that together fast enough.
His fucking
All right.
shins hurt still.
Right. He's missing a fucking toe and half an ear. Like, he's had a fucking night, all right? But Lep runs away and Gupta yells, "Stay away from me, you steaming pile of cannibal dung."
Yeah, what the fuck?
That's some line, dude. Steaming pile of cannibal dung.
I can't. That Indian voice sounds so racist.
It really fucking does, man. He basically sounds like Apu from The Simpsons. Like, he holds up the medallion and he's like, "I'm a dangerous man." Like, and it's fucking just like that.
Right.
And the funny thing about it is his name sounds French to me. Marcelo Toubert, or Toubert, you know, whatever. Toubert Papillon.
Yeah.
He backs out of the storage room and he locks the door again. And we go back to see one more scary close-up of the leprechaun saying he wants his shilling.
Fucking shilling again. Just call it a fucking gold coin. God damn it.
No, we can't do that, man. That's
Where's
not
my
allowed.
shilling?
It's in the contract. It's got to be a shilling. We cut back inside the casino and a montage of the different games being played. Scott walks around sticking out like a sore thumb, mouth hanging wide open like he just cannot believe what he's seeing. We take a look at the craps and roulette tables, over to some slots. Scott goes, yeah, this is my kind of place. And we get a shot of a priest standing next to two sexy ladies about to shoot his dice at the craps table.
Father Bob.
One of them, Marissa, grabs his hand to blow on the dice for him and fucking rub him on her tit real quick for good luck. And before he rolls, the other one bends down, the top of her dress spilling open. She blows on him too. Scott's standing behind him the whole time, and he yells, 7, like Dave Chappelle, as he rolls. But he actually rolls a 6, but apparently that's still good news. I'll never fucking understand craps.
I've never really played craps, so I don't know. But I noticed that too.
He's going for a 7. He rolled a 6, but then it seemed to be good news anyway. Like they were excited about it.
I think you need 7 or 11.
Well, that was neither of those things.
I know.
It was a 6.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But, like I said, the girls can't kind of celebrate for him. And, the unnamed one bounces up and down and her chest follows suit. Of course, we get a real good shot of that. David Lewis. She says, roll again, Father Bob. Oh, man. Padre, you nasty, nasty man. The other girl takes the dice before he has a chance to roll them again, and she rolls them herself instead, which apparently this is also a good roll, but he looks at her like, bitch, if you ever do that again.
Ever touch a priest dice.
I'd be like, no. Pick him back up. Give him back to me. That's not my fucking roll. It didn't come out of my hand. You know what I mean? But we cut to the empty auditorium where Fazio is practicing his act. He asks what time it is, and one of the dealers in the casino, Loretta, is sitting there on break watching him, and she's got the hots for this guy for some reason. He's like a smarmy, smug douchebag, but she's into it anyway. She goes, it's after 7. She goes, where's Tammy? And he's like, oh, I don't fucking know. And she asks, well, what do you fucking keep her around for? Like, she wants to be his assistant instead. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, Tammy has a way of filling out a costume. And Loretta holds up a leg and she says, hey, I can do that too. And he's like, yeah, no, you can't.
20 pounds ago, Loretta.
Right.
And you need a boob job.
Jesus Christ.
And a personality transplant. Fazio's a prick.
Yeah, man. She's like, I'm not always going to look like this. He's like, oh, did you find the Fountain of Youth?
Yeah.
He's just hammering away.
He's all over, And I don't think she looks bad, but she's got prosthetic fake bad titties on.
Also that movie. Yep, and her hair's not doing her any favors, and
they're
she's
trying to make her look old.
Yeah, exactly.
Stretch looks good though.
But she does say she's been saving up for plastic surgery. I'm sorry, but I feel like that it has just as good a chance to make things worse. Like, I feel like you should probably stay away from that.
It's risque. So Tammy comes strolling in her sexy little Tammy outfit. Mm-hmm. Fazio's being a dick here. Immediately, this pissed me off. You will refer to me as the Great One.
Dude, fuck.
On and off
directly
stage.
Off.
Yeah, she kind of brushes it off.
And meanwhile, this dude is dancing around with his fucking flamethrower, doing all these goofy, like, magician flourishes, like being the coolest guy in the world when it's anything but.
He's a fuck.
And yeah, he fucking says, address me as the Great One off stage and on. Eat a dick, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no fucking way.
Right.
But yeah, when Tammy runs in, she is indeed filling out that costume. God damn.
We got Mitch that comes in right after this too and almost kind of saves Tammy from Fazio's bullshit in a way, even though Mitch is the...
Well, for the reason that he's doing it, it's still a problem.
I was going to say he's being a dick too, but he kind of cuts Fazio's bullshit off, kind of like, hey, you're not the boss.
He's not, at least Fazio is a prick, but he's still focused on his craft.
Right.
Mitch is a fucking predator.
Oh, yeah, there's not a better way to put it.
So, like, yeah, she tells Fazio, like, fuck you, I'm not calling you Great One, you're a magician, not the Pope. And Mitch walks in, and he's like, yeah, I'm your teacher, you'll show me respect. She tosses him a lighter, and he fucking hurts his hand catching it, which is hilarious, fucking douche. And she asks if they're doing the magic rings thing tonight. He says, fuck that, check this out. And he fires up a flamethrower, and he says he's got something 10 times better. He explains, okay, you're in the box. I do the standard switch gag. And then I set fire to the box all dramatically. And he calls it the Burning Beauty, and she does not look impressed. He fires the flamethrower and catches one of the tables on fire. Of course, Tammy is the one that saves the day running over with a fire extinguisher. Mm. And good thing she was there, because I feel like if Fazio's ruffled shirt would have come within 15 feet of that blaze, he would have fucking gone up too. Plus all that hair product. This dude is a fucking walking candle.
Wearing a blouse. Damn well you didn't get that shirt from the men's department.
and just then, Mitch, the casino manager, walks in saying, what the hell's going on here? Is this the stunt you wanted me to see, Fazio? He says only a moron would try something like this, and Fazio begs him, saying like he'll make sure everything's safe, it'll be great. Mitch says forget it, I'm not taking any chances with my future headliner, and he walks over and wraps his arm around Tammy.
Well,
gross.
Headliner.
He's like, how you doing, babe? You look sensational. Ew, for the last time, no, Dad, I'm not interested. He also tells Fazio to go out onto the floor and do some close-up magic for the guests, and he's like, no way, I work the main room. Do you know who I am? I'm a star.
Hey, get your deck of cards and go out there and fucking wow the people.
Listen, Pearl, you're not a star. Mitch goes, no, you're a schmuck, and Tammy has been holding back laughter this whole time.
Oh, yeah.
He tells Loretta to get back to work as well, leaving him alone with Tammy, and he takes his shot here. He goes, so you know if you need anything, you know who to come to, right? Yeah, I do. The police. And he says, okay, you keep playing hard to get, but mark my words, you'll come around. Okay, cool. So everybody in this movie is disgusting except for Tammy. She mocks him as he leaves, but he yells back, I saw that. And we join back up with Scott as he walks by this tiny, frail old lady who can barely reach the lever of the slot machine she's in front of. Mm-hmm. And then we hear Loretta's voice again, winner, 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 we have a winner. And this guy tips his fucking bowler hat to her. He looks like he came straight out of a Laurel and Hardy bit. And he tips her and kisses her hand, and there's this goofy fucking, like, the guy standing there is like, she calls him a sharp-dressed man, and like he wins something, and there's like an ADR in there that goes, he's like, well, thank you. Scott walks away from this, and he takes a letter out of his vest pocket that says, Scott, this should cover your tuition and housing. Good luck, son. Love, Mom and Dad. And he opens it up, and there's a check for $23,000. Holy shit, dude. Put it away. Do not do what you're definitely about to do. But I thought it was funny that the signature on the check is the director's himself, Brian Trenchard Smith.
Is it?
So, by default, Scott's last name, I think, I don't remember what his actual last name, because I think, like, at least in IMDb, he had a last name. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't that make his name Scott Trenchard Smith?
I guess so. Yeah.
Like canonically in the movie, like because that's his dad's signature.
Right. Yeah, like what the fuck?
So yeah, Scott Trenchard Smith here. Oh, okay. So I found on Wikipedia his name was Scott McCoy.
Oh, okay.
But like, nice one, movie. Good
right.
job. Like
it was his actual paycheck.
Fuck that one up. Well, no, it was like the check from his dad, but like the signature on it was not McCoy. It was Trenchard Smith. Like, what the fuck?
I'm saying
good job with the inconsistency.
That's probably about what he got paid for this fucking movie.
Oh, okay.
You know, nobody made bank on this fucking thing.
Yeah, $23,000 for all of your work here.
For
like,
everything.
You don't get royalties or anything.
Right.
There's not going to be anything coming your way after. $23,000 for the whole movie. There you go.
Here you go, pal.
So Scott happens to run into Mitch on the floor, and he says, "Excuse me, sir. Do you know where I can cash a check?" And Mitch asks if he's even old enough to be in there, because clearly he's not. But when Mitch sees the amount on the check, it doesn't matter. He's like, "Oh, right over here, son."
Yeah, right. Here you go. You're good.
And as Scott walks over to the cashier, these two thugs walk up to Mitch, like, and he's like, "Oh, nah, dog, not now. Like, I got business to tend to." And the main guy, Art, tells him, "I got a jacket that'll make you look 20 pounds younger." Okay.
He's talking shit about his fucking cheap suit,
right?
Because he says something a little later. Yeah, he's like, "You'd be amazed," you know.
Mitch asks what he wants, and I like his answer here because he goes, "What do I want? Let's see. I want brown hair. I want health insurance for all Americans. God damn, this was a problem in 95 too, huh?" Yeah, man, so do we. But he says, "I also want the Mets to get their shit together, but let's not worry about what I want. Let's worry about what I need. I need my money." Oh, fuck. Mitch got himself wrapped up with a fucking loan shark or something.
Right.
Mitch goes, "I'll have it tomorrow." And that's not good enough for Art. And he has his large friend Tony threaten Mitch. And he goes, "Tell him." And Tony walks up to him and grabs him by the jacket and says, "Look sharp. Be sharp." And Mitch looks at Art like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? And Art goes, no, Tony, the other thing. Tell him the other thing. And Tony goes, "Oh, all right. You pay Arthur the money you owe him, or I will kill you."
Yeah.
And Art's like, "Yeah, that's the one. Good job, buddy." He feeds him a Scooby snack. Mitch says, "Whatever, man. I got hemorrhoids tougher than you." And Tony grabs Mitch by the jacket, and he changes his tune real quick. And he's like, "Okay, well, we'll meet over by the cashier's cage at 10 o'clock. And Tony lets Mitch go. Art helps him fix his jacket. He's like, see, when you buy off the rack, that's what happens. And as Mitch walks away, he mutters, I could have taken him. Yeah, right, dude. Keep dreaming. This dude's fucking huge.
Not even close.
Art turns and reassures Tony. He's like, no, he couldn't take you. You're way bigger. Don't worry, buddy. Just then, Scott walks away from the cage with this huge stack of chips. And this is not going to end well.
Directly to Loretta's table in Bison.
In this case, the table Loretta is running is roulette. And she's buttering him up like, oh, hey, you feeling lucky, sugar? What are you going to do with all that? Like, he grabs one single chip and says, why thank you, madam. Being the experienced gambler that I am, I believe I'll try this one. And before we can see how that plays out, not well, I assure you, we cut back to the pawn shop. Gupta's losing his shit. He's resorted to diving into a bottle of whiskey at this point. Now you're fucking speaking Lep's language, actually. The leprechaun opens the door that for some reason Gupta left unlocked, walks out of the back room and starts magically sliding the bottle of whiskey across the counter.
Right.
And his gross-ass little leprechaun hand pops up. Which, speaking of that, I think the makeup for the leprechaun is good. Shout out to Gabe Bartalos for being the guy behind the leprechaun makeup. And I believe every installment of the franchise, probably excluding that god-awful Leprechaun Origins, which no one should ever watch. But that's one thing you can count on in all those movies is the nasty makeup on this guy created by Bartalos is gonna be nasty.
Mm-hmm.
So Lep reaches up and grabs the bottle. He takes a drink and decides, all right, it's limerick time, baby. Let's do this. That's where all the fucking rhyming comes, is like the Irish propensity to fucking deliver limericks. And some of them are cool. Some of them are funny. But mostly they're just fucking annoying, if I'm being honest.
Very.
And he says, there was an old man of Madras whose balls were made of fine brass. So in stormy weather, they both clanged together and sparks flew out of his ass. And then he fucking loses it, laughs his ass off. Gupta likes it too, and he laughs with him. And I mean, that's what alcohol does, you guys. These were mortal enemies a moment ago. You sit them down with a drink and all of a sudden we're buddies. Gupta says, I am finding this to be a very funny and poetic leprechaun. And Leprechaun says, all right, down to business. Now, you left the door open, so I'm assuming you wanted to see me. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure I could hang out with the leprechaun. He's a nasty little son of a bitch, but as long as I'm not stealing his shit, I don't know, I feel like we'd be all right.
Fuck that little guy.
Gupta confirms, yes, I am wanting to discuss things with you. And he says he wants to negotiate. He's willing to give the leprechaun the medallion for half of his gold because he knows he's afraid of it. And it's pretty funny when Gupta lifts the medallion up. The leprechaun hisses at it like a cat.
Right.
But Gupta's trying to run a different angle here. He thinks, well, shit, if I can get half of this little fucker's gold, that's like 50 wishes he has to grant me, and I can give it all back. But the issue is, the leprechaun has no interest. And as soon as he says half of your gold, Leprechaun's like, boy, are you out of your fucking mind? For a worthless medallion, here's the thing. It's not worthless, is it? Like, somebody puts that around your neck, you turn to stone, and you're worthless. Mm-hmm. So if it's in your possession, you can make sure that doesn't happen.
Right.
So Gupta says, that's my final offer. Bro, that's not very good negotiation. He didn't even counteroffer yet. He goes, this is my final offer. You are taking it or leaving it. Surprisingly, the leprechaun says, okay, you got a deal, lad. Now, put it away, why don't you? And Gupta sets it on the counter and drops a hat over it to cover it up and kind of winks at him.
Right.
And he might as well be giving him like finger guns when he does that.
Right.
You know? But Lep says, perhaps I'll do a little fishing. And he uses his magic to animate a fishing hook to fly over and grab the medallion from under the hat. And as soon as he has it, it's game over. He hops up on the counter, shillelagh in hand, fucking held high, stalking down towards Gupta. He says, I told you a terrible lie, and now you're going to die. And he lifts his little stick, but then we cut back to the casino again. That was kind of starting to annoy me in this movie. Every time something exciting was about to happen, it's like, suck all the energy out of the room and go right back to the casino. You know what I mean? So back in the casino, Scott is losing his fucking mind because now he has pissed away basically all of his tuition money.
Oh yeah, it's gone.
And Loretta says, tough shit, honey. You gonna place another bet or what? Like, that's her job. She's here to fucking goad you into doing it more.
Right.
He's like, bet? Are you fucking kidding me? I had $23,000. And she's like, all right, I mean, it looks like you still got a couple hundred to work with. Stranger things have happened, I guess. But damn, kid, like, take what you still got and run for the fucking hills. Like, how could you, after you lost the first 1,000, I'd be like, okay, this is not going well.
It goes a lot faster than you think.
I'm sure it does,
obviously
but
never spent nearly that much, but
I've been to a casino twice. And I only take money that I'm comfortable with losing.
That's
you know
how
what
you
I mean?
got. That's how you got to go in if you're gonna have a good time.
And then anything that you win, all right, put your original money back in your fucking pocket. Play on the money that you're up now.
Right.
And don't fucking take it any deeper than that. Like,
it's because you're logical. A lot of people can't control themselves. You get in there and it's a rush, you know, and boom, your money's gone. Plus, he's a fucking first time. Yeah.
Right.
It's all bad news for Scott.
Right. He bets the last of his money as she spins the wheel, but just after he places the bet, she reaches under the table and presses a button which moves a magnet and rigs the game for him to lose again.
Yep, she's been fucking cheating.
Right. And before we go any further here, we cut to the main room where Fazio is beginning his show. Half the people in the crowd give no fucks whatsoever. A few of them are passed out drunk. Some are making out. Very few people in this room have any desire to actually see this show. They just wanted to come in somewhere dark for a minute, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, he's putting on the saddest display of showmanship I've ever seen. It's absolutely cringeworthy until he makes Tammy appear.
Right.
Okay, sweet. Finally something interesting. But then once she's on stage, the music starts to get like sexy. And by sexy, I mean there's somebody slapping the bass. And it sounds vaguely porny. And Fazio grabs a pair of handcuffs, shows them to the crowd, slaps them onto Tammy, and helps her into a box. Of course, like, you can't have a magic show without 27 boxes to hide things from the crowd in.
Oh, yeah.
But he pulls the curtain, shutting her inside, and then does the worst dancing in history across the stage to another box, where someone audibly fucking groans when he starts doing that. And he's just a sad, sad man. But he gets to the other box and makes a little magical hand wave to open the curtain to reveal nothing. Tammy's not there. Bunch of old people in the crowd are fucking yawning and stretching.
Yeah, like what the fuck's going on?
The tape playing the backing music literally rewinds, and we start to hear it go back from the top again.
Right.
And he closes the curtain again, and he puts his fingers to his temples as if he's like summoning all of his magical strength to conjure Tammy back. Meanwhile, we get a shot of an awful looking makeout session where the girl is only kind of half paying attention to both the makeout and the magic show. Fazio gives it another few seconds and he opens the curtain again to reveal that Tammy is now in the box and no longer wearing handcuffs. Yay.
Well, it worked, I guess.
So he looks at the crowd like, pretty good, huh? But yeah, no, not really. I like this little scene where they take their bows, but they're also arguing through clenched teeth, trying to maintain a smile.
Right.
He's like, where the hell were you? And she says, I told you that fucking trap door keeps getting stuck. And he says, oh, that's what I get for working in a dump like this. Hey, man, at least you get to work with Tammy.
Right.
We cut back to the pawn shop, and Gupta is desperately trying to fend the leprechaun off, and it's not fucking going well.
Nah, he's getting his ass kicked.
He keeps just like trying to throw things in the leprechaun's way to slow him down. I mean, good thing he's in a pawn shop, I guess.
Right.
Where there's always just bullshit laying around everywhere. Lep grabs a baseball bat and swipes at him a couple of times. Something else about the leprechaun that made me sad about covering this movie. I realized that Leppy doesn't drive any little vehicles in this. He loves his little vehicles. They're like modes of transportation. Like in the first one, he's driving a little go-kart and riding around on roller skates and wheelchairs and pogo sticks and all kinds of shit. Not a thing like that in this one. What a shame. So yeah, no little vehicles in this movie, but he does like to play dress up a little more in this one. We'll get to that in a little bit. So we go back to the casino. Scott has lost everything. He's on the verge of fucking tears. He's like, I'm ruined. Loretta goes, what do you mean? You've been spending all this time losing. Hell, you're due for a hot streak. That's how shit works here.
I mean, she's not wrong by
I've
probability.
seen it. Like I said, when I went to, I went up north on vacation one time, and I went to Kewadin Casino, it was called. And I went in there the first night, and I lost like $60. I just played like Hold'em for a little bit, and I was like, all right, that's good for me. I went back the next night and won
like two hands, Dusty?
It was like a low buy-in or whatever,
like
but
10 or something. 20.
Yeah, something like that. But I had my fill. I gambled at a casino. I can say I did it.
Right.
I went back the next night and I did win like $270.
Hell yeah.
So I ended up coming out, on top. But
and it feels good walking out
but
with
still,
a little extra, doesn't it? It's kind of crazy.
This is how you know though that you've hit rock bottom, because you're like, oh, you're due for a hot streak. Hey, why don't you take that little watch on your wrist and pawn it? It looks nice.
Yeah.
And he's like, but my grandpa gave me this watch after I graduated. And she's like, oh yeah, good. Make a comeback. Make him proud.
Yeah, Jesus.
And if like just saying all the things that trigger this kid into like his idealistic views of everything. But it's like, dude, just stop.
Right.
Just stop. You just lost $23,000 and you're about to lose your grandpa's watch.
So what? She sends him across the street to Gupta's place.
The pawn place.
Right.
She goes, tell him Loretta sent you.
Yeah, damn, dude.
And back at said pawn shop, we cut to the shot just as Lep brings his shillelagh down on top of Gupta's head real hard. That thing looks like it could do some serious damage. There's like a big old knot on the top of it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's beating the shit out of him, asking where his shilling is. And we cut to Scott running across the street. And as he approaches, Gupta tries to reach for the medallion again to hopefully stop this little son of a bitch, but he's unsuccessful. And Gupta tries to pick up the phone to call for help. And as he does, he drops the coin onto his computer keyboard. Lep wraps the telephone cord around Gupta's neck saying, tell me where it is or by me sainted mother, I'll strangle you. Dude, just look at your look to your right. There it is, man.
Can't you smell it?
Exactly. Yeah. So Scott finally arrives outside the front door and he runs inside. Just before he can get in, though, the leprechaun ends up strangling too hard and kills poor Gupta.
Fucking good.
And poor Leppy says, oh no, what was I thinking? With all this killing, I've lost me shilling.
God damn it.
It doesn't stop, Jason.
I know.
It really doesn't. Just then, Scott opens the door, and Leprechaun's like, oh shit, it's the fuzz, and he fucking bolts. Scott looks around at the carnage in this shop. There's just shit laying all over the floor, and Leprechaun hides. Scott finds Gupta's body on the floor as well, and he turns him over and unwraps the phone cord. Yes, kids, phones did used to have cords. But I hate the stupid line here of, oh man, and I thought I had problems. I thought they smelled bad. On the outside. Like fucking take two, dude. I hate that ham-fisted delivery. It's like you're watching an old Flintstones cartoon and like the garbage disposal bird like breaks the fourth wall and says, it's a living. You know, like wah, wah.
I'm glad we got our first dead body.
Right, yeah, absolutely. But Scott uses the murder weapon to call the cops. That's a good move. You definitely want your fingerprints all over that. He says, I'm in the pawn shop across from the Lucky Shamrock, and I found a dead guy. Meanwhile, the leprechaun shadow starts creeping up on him as well. And the cops tell him, stay there, they're sending someone right over. He hangs up the phone and accidentally hits the key on the computer to fire up the Leprechaun documentary again. And the guy on the voiceover says, a leprechaun is very territorial. He can never tolerate another leprechaun crossing his boundaries. Keep that shit in your back pocket because that's a little foreshadowing for later. The CD-ROM starts going through the bullet points again. Number 1, leprechaun's power lies in his gold. Number 2, each of his gold shillings will bring a wish come true to anyone who possesses them. Well, looky what we have here. What's on this keyboard? A gold coin?
Yeah, no shit.
Scott goes, oh sure, I can get a wish, huh? I wish I was back at the casino on a winning streak. And suddenly, the coin starts glowing and he disappears just as the leprechaun comes up behind him and swings an axe down on the desk. And Lep is like, God damn it, now that little bastard's gone and he's got me shilling.
He's got me shilling.
We come back to the casino and Scott is back at the roulette table trying to figure out what the fuck happened. And Loretta says, all right, no more bets. It's just the house and the golden boy. And motherfucker now has a huge stack of chips. Looks like he's got that 23,000 back and then some.
Mm-hmm. Hits 7 red.
Mm-hmm. And indeed it lands on 7 red. I love Loretta's reaction to this. She goes, oh hell. And then kind of shakes it off and says, oh shit, I mean 7 red, it is. Like, talk about a bad poker face. And then she puts this thing on his stack of chips. I have no idea what it is, but it looks like a salt shaker or something.
That is, they use that when you're playing the game. So especially with something like roulette where there's money all over the fucking table from people placing bets. They'll put that glass down on whatever hits. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's more than one, too. They'll put it on top of anything that is winning.
Okay.
Clear everything else out.
Okay.
Pull those back off, and then stack the chips up for what you won before you can take it.
Okay. Thank you for being my Loretta, because I'm Scott in this scenario. I don't know shit.
Yeah. It's just a marker. Like I said, they put it down and clear the rest of the bets off the table. Everything that's gone gets swept back.
Oh, shit.
Swept back into the fucking catch or whatever. And then, oh, well, this guy won. They move the marker. Stack the chips up. There you go. There's yours.
Okay. Sorry, I'm learning.
Let's go to the casino, Dusty.
She asks him if he's going to let it ride, and he moves his stack of chips and then places the gold coin on top of it, and it starts moving on its own.
Right.
Now there's a big crowd around him, and Mitch walks up. The chips stop moving, and he takes the gold coin back off. Loretta says, the luckiest man in Vegas puts the whole load on 13 black, and then she spins the wheel again. And we cut out to the street where the leprechaun is looking around thinking maybe he's found his new home. He goes, lovely golden palaces, completely full of riches. I'll rip 'em off and rob 'em blind, those dirty sons of bitches. And he fucking laughs and, fucking
leprechaun.
Hauls ass out of there. Inside the Lucky Shamrock, Scott wins yet again. The crowd can't believe it. There's a girl sitting next to him and says, "This guy's on a hell of a winning streak," which makes Scott perk up. Wait a minute, winning streak? I wished for a winning streak. And Mitch walks up to Loretta and says quietly, "Yo, what the fuck is going on here?"
Yeah. 2 rules in Vegas. Number 1, the house always wins.
She goes, "I don't know, dude. This is crazy. 2 hours ago, he was losing his shirt. And now I can't stop him." And Mitch goes, "Well, you damn well better, or else."
Right.
Scott bets 6 black as she tries to press her little cheat button down underneath, but the mechanism, breaks and he wins again anyway. Mitch whispers, "I've about had it with you, Loretta." And she's like, "Well, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, dude. Like, I'm trying to cheat him. It's just not working."
Right.
And you know what? Good. Fuck casino. She goes, "Something went wrong." And he says, "Well, you better get the money back or something will go wrong with you if you catch my drift."
Yeah, killer? Jesus.
We cut back out to the street and the jaunty Danny Elfman music kicks back in. And we get a hilarious montage of the Leprechaun just roaming the town. And he stops in front of the Golden Nugget Casino and he goes, "Oh, good, I'd like one of those." Back inside the Lucky Shamrock, Mitch shuts the roulette table down and stammers through some kind of bullshit excuse of, "Oh, there's something wrong with the wheel. The table's closed for now, but it's only temporary. Come back in a little while."
That 100% would happen.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
You got to stop the streak, dude.
Yeah, they would.
Stop the steal. Everybody groans and walks away. Mitch walks up to Scott and he says, "Wow, buddy, congratulations. This is truly amazing." Scott's like, "Yeah, man, I'm not sure what happened. I was losing everything." But then Mitch interrupts and says, "Yeah, that's just the way it works sometimes. But listen, here's a key to a suite in the hotel. Anything you want, it's on me." He's trying to keep him in the casino in the hopes that he'll continue to spend his money there and eventually lose it again, but at least stop that streak for now. So when you come back, you're going to give it all back.
That is what always happens. That's how casinos work.
Right. Scott says, "Man, Las Vegas is really turning out to be a great place. Oh boy, golly gee willikers." And Mitch says, "Yeah, go take a break. We'll keep your table reserved." And just then Tammy walks out, still in her sexy little magic outfit. And now she's got a blazer on over the top of it. Still not covering much somehow, though. She's super pissed that Scott ignored her request and gambled anyway. And he walks up to her and says, "Oh my God, you're never going to believe it." And she's like, "Yeah, what the fuck, man?"
Yeah, told you not to gamble.
He's like, "Whatever, dude. Look at how much I won." And he catches her up and explains everything that's gone down so far, including the dead guy he found. Tammy's like, "Fucking what?" She's like, "I've only been gone for like an hour." He shows her his room key about 3 seconds before coming in his pants. And she goes, "Okay, hey, just shut the fuck up for a second and listen. I want you to cash in your chips and go home. Get in your car and leave Las Vegas. Somebody is about to fuck you up."
Right. Truth.
He's like, "No way. All this happened because of you. I love you, Tammy. I want to share it all with you." Jesus Christ, kid. You just met her and spent 10 minutes with her. Not saying I wouldn't react to Tammy the same way, but again, you're a child. Take the damn advice. She's like, "Okay, fine. Listen, I have a show to do. I gotta go. Just cash in your chips and go up to your room. Stay there. I'll meet up with you later." She says, "Make sure no one comes into your room. That's super important. And keep the money right beside you." She walks away and he yells across the casino after her right after this like hushed conversation. He's like, "Oh my God, this is so great. I can't believe it." And she turns around like, "Shut the fuck up, man. What are you doing?" He cashes the chips in and tries to act all nonchalant about it. Like, "Oh yeah, I did okay." Back out to the Leprechaun on the street outside of the strip club. And he rubs his hands together and gets a little devilish smile. But then he was just like, "Oh, nope, I can't get distracted. I have a mission." You nasty little bastard. He's always so horny, dude. Every single movie. From the first moment he was rubbing Jennifer Aniston's leg in that first movie, there was no looking back. But his physical acting is always so good, though. Like, I fucking love Warwick Davis. Finally, he arrives outside of the Lucky Shamrock, and this place really does look like a piece of shit next to all the other bright, shiny buildings everywhere.
Yeah, big time.
This one's just got like a simple sign and some flags out front. Whippy, you know. He says, "Oh, me shilling, a lucky sign. The gold inside will soon be mine." And as he walks up to the door, a limo pulls up out front, and he rubs his hand along it. With those nasty claws of his, he's pretty much keying the limo.
Yeah.
And an Elvis impersonator steps out of it, and people are taking pictures for some reason. I really don't get the Elvis impersonator thing. Like, I'm not an Elvis guy to begin with. There are a few songs I can get into, but overall, I'm good. But I feel like the people are more often than not, you're usually like either a Beatles person or an Elvis person. There's rarely both. Mm-hmm. You know, it happens, but it's rare. I'm definitely on the Beatles side, but I especially detest shitty 1970s rhinestone jumpsuit wearing, big sweaty fat mutton chop having Elvis.
Of all the Elvises.
It's fucking disgusting, dude. Like, why would anyone try to emulate that is beyond me. But the Leprechaun walks up to him and they're just kind of checking each other out for a second. And Lep says, "Fine suit of clothes, lad." No, it's not. It looks dumb as fuck. This guy is also not good at being Elvis. He says, well, thank you very much. Oh, say, those shoes, did they come in blue suede, man? I really like them, man. And Lep fires back, oh, thank you very much. And he's way better at it than this other dude.
Womp womp.
But my question, if Lep is just amazed by Las Vegas, how does he even know who Elvis is? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He's literally 2,000 years old, but I don't know if he's been keeping up on the pop culture thing.
He must have been, you know. Everybody knows who Elvis is, Dusty.
I fucking guess, man. Elvis says, say, man, you do that pretty good. He's like, next time, make sure you get paid for it. And then they have this little thing where they match movements and strike a pose. It's so fucking dumb and cheesy. I'm just going to chalk it up to the leprechaun being magic and thus able to match the guy's movements. But Elvis walks away and Lep does one more patented Elvis gyration move. And he goes, Vegas, my kind of town. Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Painful. We cut back inside to Fazio doing sleight of hand for people out on the floor. Or should I say he's doing it for literally one lady standing there applauding him.
Right.
And he's getting ready to pull a rabbit out of a box when the leprechaun walks up and sees Fazio being a charlatan. And he walks past a fucking tree with money hanging on it, hanging off of it. And he does not approve since it's not gold coins. He makes a little, But he walks up to Fazio as Fazio is saying his own name as a magic word. He's trying to finish his trick and like a normal magician would be like, abracadabra.
Right.
This dude says, Fazio, and then fucking taps the thing. I'm like, what the fuck are we even doing, dude? And then he reveals that he's now made a bunny appear, but it's a stuffed one because the casino won't allow him to use a real rabbit.
Wow.
As the leprechaun walks up, the lady that was standing there watching hauls ass out of there when she sees this ugly little bastard. And Fazio looks like he's apparently lost his appetite too. But he greets him anyway, and he says he's got an interesting costume. What an insult. This is Lep's everyday wardrobe, dude. Like, he wears the same shit every day. He's got to smell fucking awful. But he starts to show him another trick and waves a piece of fabric over his hand, and as he does, the leprechaun waves his hand and turns whatever that was supposed to be into a literal steaming pile of green shit.
Yep. Sure did. It didn't look like...
It looked like mashed potatoes with food coloring.
Yeah. So the leprechaun shit's green. Got it.
The leprechaun kind of laughs and he goes, a little token of my esteem. It is exactly what it seems. Made fresh daily at exactly 9 o'clock. It comes from Michelele. You can keep it in a crock. Yeah, what a crock of shit indeed. But we cut to Scott riding the elevator up to his room, but Loretta's standing off to the side watching him. Fazio walks up to her and she goes, just the girl I want to see. And she asks what the fucking smell is. And he goes, hey, have you seen that little tramp that works for me? Damn, son, you take that back. I'll not have you besmirching Tammy's good name. She says, I don't know, but fucking forget about her. Pay attention to this little asshole at the elevator. She tells Fazio that Scott just won over $100,000 at the roulette wheel.
Damn.
And the way she's talking, it sounds like she wants to steal it back from him.
Mm-hmm.
So while they're talking, I thought it was funny that when the elevator opens, there's this like sexy girl walking out with some old guy right past Scott.
Right.
Like she's half his age. It's fucking gross. Like money makes us do truly disgusting things. Anyway, Loretta says Scott also has a gold coin on him that she wants. So she tries to make a deal with Fazio saying they can split the money and she gets the coin.
Right.
And he asks what Scott's room number is and they do this cute little laugh together before we cut back to Scott putting his own bag down on the bed in his room. And he flips the coin, puts it down immediately and calls for room service. Idiot. Tammy said don't let anybody in.
Yep.
We cut back to Lep and the Beetlejuice music kicks back in and this dude is literally standing on top of the craps table. The lady from the encounter with Fazio is standing next to him. Apparently she doesn't mind how he looks now that he's winning some money too.
Yep.
And while he's playing, Art walks up to the table and says, hey, Tony, look what we got here, a high roller. And Tony walks up and pushes a couple people out of the way and tells the leprechaun to take a break. Meanwhile, Art says, hey, Crappy A, pass me them dice. I'm feeling lucky. All right, so apparently these guys work for the casino too? I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. It's really hard. They can't.
There's no way, since they're like threatening Mitch to give him back money.
I was going to say, they can't work for them and then be hustling them too.
Right.
You know, so it looked more like they were like loan sharks, but maybe they just, everybody knows who they are. So if this big guy's like, hey, hand me those fucking dice, or like, here you go, sir.
Right.
They're just the muscle, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
A couple holes in the story here, but it's all good.
Leprechaun grabs Art's hand and says he wasn't finished yet, which causes Tony to grab him and he tells him to beat it. And the leprechaun sticks a coin in his mouth. and pulls on his arm like a slot machine lever. And this dude starts spitting out gold coins like fucking Old Faithful. And Lep turns back to Art and says, "You want to try your luck?" And I think he's truly menacing in that shot. Like when he gets like real close to Art's face, he's like, "You want to fuck around and find out, bitch?"
Right.
The lady
Stinky little bastard.
The lady from earlier looks legitimately scared now. So naturally, it's time for another rhyme. He goes, "This is my kind of place. Crooked and sleazy. Stealing gold from humans is awfully easy." And then maybe the corniest, fucking shittiest line here. "Look out, Vegas, I'm taking over." Back in Scott's room, he's getting ready to take a shower, but he's got to take a second to sniff his money first. He sounds like Andy at the beginning of Toy Story a little bit, like, "Ooh, money, 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 money."
Yeah.
And he starts to brush his teeth, and at the same time, Fazio breaks into his room.
Oh boy.
And he rummages through his bags and he finds a leopard print garment of some kind, and he's amazed to find that it's made of silk, so he keeps it. But all right, Scott, what the fuck are you getting into, dog?
Ew.
Scott turns the water back off in the shower for some reason. He didn't take one. Maybe because he heard drawers slamming around in his room,
right.
Because Fazio is the worst burglar of all time, not even trying to be quiet. Regardless, I don't think that's why he turned the water off, which was only the cold side, by the way. I think he only heard those sounds after he turned the faucet off. So what's he fucking doing, turning the shower on and then turning it back off without the intention of taking a shower?
Yep. Yeah.
But regardless, Scott runs out and says, "Hey man, what the fuck?" And Fazio doesn't look concerned in the slightest. He throws that silk leopard print thing in Scott's face and then punches him in the gut. He runs to the door but stops just to turn around and throw down a smoke bomb like a real fucking moron. Like, he may not have known you were the house magician until you pulled that silly shit for absolutely no reason. Yeah, fucking ninja, vanish. Scott's still lying on the floor when Fazio runs down the hall complaining about his hand hurting from punching Scott, little bitch. As Scott gets up, a room service cart wheels into the room, seemingly on its own, and it's the fucking Leprechaun.
I smell me shilling.
You're right. He's like, "Tell me where it is or there'll be another killing." Like, dude, you already used that one. And Scott's like, "What the fuck are you supposed to be?" And he goes, "I'm a leprechaun, come to claim me gold." We get a goofy Steven Seagal style sped up camera to make it look like he's moving fast. And he runs over to Scott and he bites his arm. Did you notice how freakishly big his hands were as he was grabbing Scott's arm?
Yeah.
Like the dude's entire fucking forearm and half of his hand is covered by the leprechaun's hands.
Right.
Shit's weird.
Yep.
Scott manages to stab the leprechaun in the forehead and toss him out the window, but not before a bunch of his nasty green blood leaks out onto the wound on his arm. And we're just going to have to wait to see how that plays out.
Oh, shit.
But remember that whole can't have two leprechauns in place thing? In one place thing? Yeah.
I like how after this, the leprechaun flies out the window.
Dude, I love this fucking shot.
He fucking calls the front desk. "Get me security. There's a leprechaun in my hotel."
Well, like, not to skip past this, like, I love the fucking shot of the leprechaun dummy flying out the window. It's so fucking good. And the way it fucking plops on the ground. Oh, man. But yeah, Scott walks over to the phone, calls hotel security. He reports a leprechaun in the hotel. And he goes, "Yeah, little green guy. He tried to kill me." And apparently they think he's drunk and hang up on him. Just like poor Ozzy in that first movie. That's when he realized the coin is gone. And downstairs in the alley, the leprechaun sits back up and we see that the knife is still sticking out of his forehead. And he grabs it and snaps it off. He doesn't pull it out. He bends it sideways so that the blade breaks and stays in his head. But he can toss the handle aside like, "All right, little badass dude, I see you." He sits up and says, "Next time I'll take the elevator." Woof, the hits just keep on coming with these fucking lines, huh? The one-liners are getting worse and worse.
Oh, yeah.
I love his weird little pointy bat ears, though.
Goofy looking.
Upstairs, Scott cleans himself back up and he's staring into the mirror, and suddenly his reflection transforms into a half-human, half-leprechaun thing, and it's fucking gross. Like, honestly, more disgusting than the full leprechaun himself.
It's fucking goofy.
He starts cramping up and he feels like he's going to be sick. He stumbles out of the bathroom and falls to the floor. We cut down to the lobby and Fazio meets back up with Loretta. And he goes, "Hey, I've been looking all over hell for you." I'm like, really? She's only in like 3 places this entire movie. Look a little harder, dude. He tells her he found the coin but no money. And she tells him to give it to her, but he's like, "Fuck that. The deal was we split the money and there is no money. So now we're splitting this."
Right.
She's like, "No, you idiot. You don't understand. I'm not selling it. It's got powers." And he's like, "What in the holy fuck are you talking about?"
It's got powers.
It's got powers. And she's like, put it on the table. Let me give you a little demonstration. And he does another little sleight of hand trick and he says, I can't. It's magically disappeared. She rolls her eyes super hard and he asks which number she wants him to put it on. She says, doesn't matter. Just put it down. She spins the roulette wheel and he places it on 11 black, but this time it doesn't do what she wants it to. She goes, I don't understand. It moves. It's supposed to move the winning number. Here's the thing. You didn't fucking make a wish yet.
Right.
So he's like, whatever, dude. You're crazy. I got to go do another show. You go find a coin dealer and get this appraised. And she says, I swear on my mother's grave, this has magic. And he's like, if you want magic, bend over. I'll pull a rabbit out of your ass. Just then, Mitch appears out of nowhere and yells at Fazio for yelling at Loretta. And of course, he can't just walk away. He's got to do his little magic flourish as he turns.
Right.
Mitch makes fun of him for exactly that after he walks away. And then he starts in on Loretta, asking if she got his money back yet. Mm-hmm. And she said she's working on it. That's when he notices the coin and demands that she give it to him. She's like, fuck that. That's my personal property. But he pries it out of her hand anyway. And he says he is holding it for ransom until she gives him his money back. What exactly the accent she's using is, I don't know. But she goes, that's my personal property.
Yeah.
It's fucking like James Cagney or W.C. Fields or some shit. She's got like the transatlantic thing going on. But Mitch says, hey, keep your voice down. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's a fat broad with a big mouth.
Damn.
Jesus Christ, man. And she goes, well, who's calling fat, Mr. Porker? And actually starts snorting at him like a pig.
Right.
She says, you could never get a woman. He's like, yeah, right. I can get any broad I want. I already don't like where this is going. She goes, oh, yeah? Like that bubblehead little bimbo Miss Tammy? Yep, there it is. I fucking knew it. He says, yeah, I could have her. And Loretta goes, you wish. Oh, no, don't put that thought in his mind. But it's too late. He goes, yeah. He flips the coin and he says, I wish.
Boom.
The inside of his palm lights up, and suddenly Tammy, walking through the casino, stumbles a bit and grabs her head, and she does like a little quick sigh and flares out her jacket a little bit and adjusts her chest and starts walking straight up to Mitch. God damn it, man. I don't want to see this. She grabs him and says, I want you more than any man I've ever known in my life. And Loretta asks her if she has a fever. Like, you feeling all right? But dude, this voice she goes into, I fucking hate it so much. And this isn't even as bad as it gets.
Right.
She says, take me right here on the floor, Mitch. $10 says this dude can't even get it up anymore.
A little jealous of Mitch, aren't you? I see what's going on, Dusty.
Loretta's jaw drops to the floor. Like, me too, Loretta, me too. And Mitch looks over at her like, Fatso, huh? And he says, okay, let's go to my room. Oh, God, no. As soon as they walk away, Loretta says, mandatory drug testing for all employees. That's it. That's what we need. So they head off for the elevator, and Tammy's doing this baby talk shit the whole time. But saying things like, I can get really nasty. Yeah, that's what this entire movie has turned into at this point. Like, oh, God. He goes, you can? Well, then you just go ahead and do it.
Oh, yeah.
As the elevator door closes, Loretta puts it together. She goes, oh, wait a minute. That's what he said. I wish. That's how the coin works. Mm-hmm. She walks over, presses the button on the elevator, and then stands there like one of the pink ladies about to launch into a song. And back in the elevator, Tammy goes, oh, Mitch, where have you been all my life? He goes, oh, right here, baby. And he goes, I've been waiting for you. Just fucking kill me. I can't do this anymore. He comes in for a kiss, but she pinches his cheeks and stops him. Okay, things are looking up. She says, oh, Mitch, I like my love in the same way I like my men. Tough and hard, like this. And she slaps the ever-loving fuck out of him. He spins around and falls against the elevator wall. And when he turns around, he looks dazed, like he's not even looking in the correct direction.
Right.
And
fucked him up.
She slaps him again. Same effect. Here we go. This is some Wishmaster shit. Like, your wish is granted, but not quite the way you want it.
Right.
And he turns back around and he says, okay, I think I get the idea. Let me do it for you. And he just jumps against the side of the wall. She cheers him on. He does it again. And then he goes, okay, now can we do it? And we cut back to Art and Tony on the casino floor waiting for Mitch. And he forgot about his appointment, it would seem. Mm-hmm. Art checks his watch, and then so does Tony. They have this whole conversation about like, oh yeah, my boxers keep creeping up my butt. And Tony's like, oh, I hate that. That's why I go with jockeys now. Which, that's kind of an antiquated term. Like, does he mean briefs, like tighty whities? Like, I feel like you got to go boxer briefs, first of all, which is the best of both worlds. But jockeys?
Is that what a jockey is?
I don't really know.
I would think so. Well, isn't jockeys a brand?
Maybe.
I think it is.
That sounds familiar. Could be.
Who fucking knows?
But Art says, I don't know about those. It makes me feel like a sissy. And Tony kind of shrugs and says, oh yeah, you can't hang like you really want to. Wait a minute, do you really want to? I don't know, man. There's a time and a place for that, but you're in public. Be responsible. Tony says, no, I like the support. Wait a minute, you were the one that was just saying you were wearing boxers. Art changes the subject and asks how his tie looks instead, and then Art starts complaining about his socks too. They have no shortage of wardrobe-related material here. And Art says he would get those garters to hold up his socks, but nah, they make him feel like a sissy too. Hey man, you seem to be real preoccupied with not feeling like a sissy. Why don't you just tell Tony how you feel about it?
Sissy boy.
Art says, where the hell is Mitch? And they both check their watch again. We cut to, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, Mitch's room with him and Tammy.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, all right, enough with the pain. I'm not into that shit. And now for the nastiest line in the movie. Oh, sweetie, mama's going to make you feel so good. Fucking vomit, dude. Oh, my God. They walk into his bedroom and Tammy says, oh, what tasteful decor. And it's the tackiest fucking room you've ever seen, with it like a circular bed with a zebra print comforter.
Hell
neon
yeah,
signs on the wall. It's fucking awful.
It smells funny in there.
Oh, I'm sure. She says, oh my God, it's like a museum. Like, Jesus, lady, get a grip. And he walks over to the bed and she says, first I'm going to make you hot and then I'm going to make you burn. And he's like, oh, hell yeah, here we go. And he seems to be a little uneasy with the last part about burning, though. She stands up and snaps her fingers and miraculously music starts playing. Sounds oddly similar to the porn music from the magic show, actually. Mm-hmm. And she starts dancing around, and then we see Loretta running down the hall toward them, but she runs into a guy out there and starts walking regularly until he passes her. And she gets to the door, and she kind of stops and listens. Not sure what kind of sound she's going to be hearing coming out of it at this point.
She's trying to make sure they're preoccupied.
Right. And inside, Tammy takes her top off and whips it around, and Loretta unlocks the door and comes inside. She creeps over to the jacket that Mitch dropped on the floor, and starts looking around for the coin. She finds it immediately, just as Tammy unhooks her bra. She's like holding it to her chest, trying to like still tease it, thank God. And as soon as Loretta crosses the threshold of the door, the spell wears off and Tammy doesn't know where she is, doesn't understand why she's half naked in front of Mitch, and she's completely fucking humiliated.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, Mitch, what did you do to me? How did you get me here? And she knees him in the balls and runs off. And he goes, oh, you bitch, you ball-breaking tease. And as she opens the door to exit, he goes, you're fired. I've got the best casino, and you're no longer welcome in it. We love the slots, don't we, folks? I'll tell you one pussy I won't be grabbing, and it's Tammy's. He sits back down on the bed, and we cut back to the casino floor. The leprechaun pops up by the roulette table. Remember him? Oh, right, the titular character of the movie. That's right. He busts another rhyme. He goes, it belongs to me, this gold I smell. Whoever's got it's going to hell. And back up to Scott in his room, finally standing back up. He looks at the nasty bite mark on his arm, and then is overwhelmed by the smell wafting up out of his room service dish. And he lifts the lid, and it's a steak, some broccoli, and what's this?
A potato.
A baked potato. Scott's like, oh baby, where have you been all my life? He eats this thing like a damn Neanderthal. Like, we cut back to Tammy, and this poor girl closes the door on Mitch's room, and then she's got to take the walk of shame, and she didn't even get to have sex.
Right.
This poor thing's crying, and she wraps her blazer tighter around her, and she walks away. And inside the room, Mitch stands up and pours a drink just as the leprechaun pokes his head out from behind a curtain. And he steps out right behind the TV, and he magics it to life, making another sexy lady appear on the screen.
Titties.
And then she goes, what do you need her for, Mitch, when you could have me? And she takes her top off, and we cut back to Scott, now in the casino's restaurant, once again, cutting away from the interesting stuff to reset a scene. His waitress brings him a big old sampler platter of potato products. Like, she walks up and she's like, oh, baked potato, broiled potato, French fries, potato skins, potato salad, and 6 potato pancakes. Good Lord, man. She asks if he needs anything else, and now that motherfucker starts in on the limericks, like, because he's part leprechaun now, too, so now we got fucking 2 of them. He goes, there once was a lady from Totten, whose tastes grew perverted and rotten. She cared not for steaks or for pastries and cakes, but lived upon penis au gratin.
The best line of the movie, dude.
And I'm like, what?
Penis au gratin.
The waitress kind of puzzles it out for a second and says, Metallica. Oh, no, wait. White Zombie. I got the album. Yeah. She thinks she's fucking giving music lyrics.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know, it shows you the era, dude.
Yeah, she's cool too. I think she's cute. She walks away saying, enjoy your spud. She sounds like Janine from Ghostbusters.
See, now, with that in the middle of the movie, why didn't they do like a Freddy versus Jason thing where this was Leprechaun 3 in Vegas and they threw in White Zombie and made it a heavy metal album and threw that shit in?
Because nu metal didn't exist yet because it's 1995.
White Zombie existed?
And White Zombie did for sure.
You know, it wasn't nu metal era yet, but it was right there. But I'm saying,
Right.
Why didn't they throw White Zombie on the track like a Beavis and Butthead movie?
Because this is a cheap ass movie and they didn't have the rights.
They didn't have the money for it, but I think it would have went over better if they did
for sure.
to try to meet with the times.
But then that would have been the best part of this movie, and then people would be
yeah.
like, what the fuck is the rest of this piece of shit around it? Why go through the effort of making this scene great?
it would have made sense to me, I think. Would have been a good idea.
But can we not call them Spuds anymore? I really don't like that. I don't like Spud. It doesn't sound like something I want to eat.
Sounds stupid.
After she leaves, he goes, what the hell did I just say? Like, yeah, dude, it's over for you. Back to the naked lady on TV in Mitch's room. She says, I'm coming for you, Mitch, as she crawls toward the screen, and then she crawls right out of it. And she stands up kissing him and puts her boobies in his face. And he's like, I must be dreaming. Nope, really happening. And remember earlier when I said something was the nastiest line of the movie?
Mm-hmm.
I lied, because it's right here when he says, you want my heat-seeking moisture missile?
Ew.
All right. That's it for us, everybody. We had a good time. We hope you did too. And the end. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Heat-seeking moisture missile, this guy says?
Yum.
I'm so glad he's about to die. But before we can see it, of course, back to Scott scarfing down these taters. And he goes, what a lovely treat for a lad like myself. And he immediately goes again, why the fuck am I talking like that? Like, doesn't understand what's happening to him.
Agree. Shut up, Scott.
Suddenly, Loretta walks by and she goes, oh, hey, the rich kid. And he says, Loretta. He asks if she's seen Tammy and she goes, oh, she's up in Mitch's office getting her clock cleaned. And he's like, fucking what? And she reacts. She's like, life's a bitch, ain't it? He asks where Mitch's room is and she tells him right away. And he runs off without paying. Fucking pace yourself, kid. You're going to cramp up with that belly full of taters. But he stops when he sees a cardboard cutout of Fazio. He recognizes him from the burglary incident. And back up in Mitch's room, we get one of the more entertaining scenes, in my opinion. This lady is still on top of Mitch in bed making out. But then the Leprechaun comes on the TV. And he's doing one of those like daytime TV lawyer commercials. Mm-hmm. Feeling sick? Stubbed your toe? Call this lawyer. I'll fix your woe. And the number is 1-800-WILL-SUE.
Nice.
And he says, I'll fight for you. Even you, Mitch. And he's like talking to him through the TV.
Right.
And that gets his attention. He's like, why the fuck does the TV keep talking to me? Meanwhile, Scott's standing at the elevator when it opens and Tammy is in it still crying. And he asks if she's all right. And she's like, just get the fuck away from me. He's like, tell me what he did to you. And she says, no, it's only what he tried to do. And she goes into this thing where she's like, it's not like the first time this has happened. She says, but this time it's different because I got fired too. Just forget about the whole thing. Scott says, no, if we let him get away with it, he's just going to do it again to somebody else. I'm not going to let that happen. What the fuck exactly are you going to do about it, Scott?
That's what I said. He's going to kick somebody's ass. No, he's not.
Doubtful. She walks back into the elevator with him as the music swells triumphantly. Here's the thing. This is the shittiest elevator in the world. Because why in the fuck is it hanging open with no activity for like a minute and a half? The entire time they're standing there having this conversation, the elevator doors never close. If I got into an elevator and pressed whatever floor I wanted and then I just had to stand there for a minute and a half, I'd be so pissed. But back in Mitch's room, the Leprechaun's still doing his bit. Now he's moved on to a televangelist commercial, dressed like a priest, and he's like, praise the Lord, send in your money, otherwise you'll all be doomed to hellfire and damnation for fornicating with the devil's harlot. And now the number is 1-800-WE-BURN-YOU.
Nice.
He drops Mitch's name again, and he starts, kind of freaking out. We move on to a Miss Cleo gag where he's dressed just like her, except apparently his name is Athena Cosmos, psychic to the stars. For anybody who doesn't remember the Miss Cleo commercials, she was like a TV psychic. It was a huge fucking scam, but you could call into this line and be like, oh, hey, what's my fucking future or whatever. And she'd
call
be
me
like,
now for your free reading.
Call me now. And like she had this whole like Jamaican thing going on. Everything Guambiari, like whatever the fuck.
It's real, dude.
Miss Cleo's real,
we
for
watched
sure.
a documentary on it recently.
Yeah. But I'm saying like this is the reference that he's making.
Absolutely.
So he's sitting there holding a little Ouija board and he says, the signs point to a tragedy about to happen. Casino owner dies in a bed of lies. Mitch sits up and he says, all right, now that was too close to home. Was he talking about me that time? Casino owner dies? What the fuck's that supposed to mean?
Right.
And a voice answers yes. And then he gets pushed down onto the bed and suddenly this sexy lady turns into a sexy robot. What? This terrifying face on this thing. It looks like a kind of like Zeke the Plumber vibes.
It's just a really, really shitty robot.
It's just wires and rods. It's a fucking nightmare, dude. But it still has a human pair of tits and a butt, which is funny.
The most important things. A butt.
This thing... a butt. This thing keeps Mitch pinned onto the bed while the TV starts to smoke. But then, of course, we cut away, back to the casino floor with Art and Tony, still checking his watch, but now he decides, all right, I'm going to go fucking find Mitch instead.
Yep.
Speaking of which, he's trying to tell himself that this is just a bad dream when the leprechaun pops out yelling, illegal hookup, talking about like somebody's stealing cable.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you'll get what's due when I electrocute you, and sparks start fucking flying everywhere. Just then, Scott and Tammy arrive outside of his door, and she thanks him for his help before they walk in. And when they do, they find Mitch dead in bed, still smoking.
With his pants down.
You shouldn't smoke in bed, kids. The leprechaun pops out and yells, where's me shilling again? Like you said, yeah, he's got his pants down a little bit, and he's got like playing cards on his boxers, like really living up to that casino manager life.
This fucking where's me shilling line has been happening since the beginning, and it's just...
Oh, probably 20 times already in the runtime.
Enough. Where's my shilling? You fucking goddamn, I want to punch this little fucker in the face.
Oh, he's my favorite. Except, like we talked about, the rhyming's too much, but I like this little dude. Scott says, you again? And Tammy's like, what the fuck, you know each other? And Lep says, now, me boyo, it's time to cut you down to size. Is that a tall joke, man? Inappropriate.
Rude.
Scott throws a little statue at the leprechaun off a table and knocks him over. And he falls down like a little baby, like a leg straight, just like straight onto his butt.
Right.
And him and Tammy run out just as Art and Tony run in. And Art says he wants his money now. And the leprechaun's like, oh, what a coincidence. Me too. Such a funny little moment here when Art and Tony walk in to see Mitch laying on the bed dead from electrical burns and a fucking leprechaun trying to get back up onto his feet next to Mitch on the bed. And Art just goes, what the hell is going on here? Scott and Tammy run out the back and down the fire escape, and Lep tries to run after them, but Tony stops him, recognizing him from the craps table. And he's like, he tells him, you know, he needs to go see a dermatologist or whatever for his fucked up face. Lep says, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and he stabs his fucking shillelagh into Tony's eye and rips it out. And Art starts freaking out, like, what have you done to my boyfriend? And Lep is just checking out the eyeball, just like examining it, you know.
Eyeball trauma.
Admiring it. We cut back to a ridiculous and unnecessary shot of Scott and Tammy still running down the stairs. Like, I feel like we get about 5 of these cuts back to them just running downstairs.
There's 4 or 5, and it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, why are we doing that? It's just padding the runtime.
Finish the fucking scene, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all ready for this movie to fucking end.
Yeah. Back in the room, Lep starts going to town on Art with his beating stick. And Art stands up and pulls a gun on him, but Lep just slaps it out of his hand. He kicks both their asses with this thing. Art looks up at Lep and says, tell me, what was Judy Garland really like? Oh, come on, man. This
is a terrible fight scene.
Oh, yeah. Like,
terrible.
When Art pulls the gun and sticks it in Leprechaun's face, there's like a couple of seconds where he should be pulling a trigger, but he just kind of stands there and lets the Leprechaun just knock it out of his hand. Like,
it's a really shitty... poor excuse for an action fight scene, and there's no fucking blood. There's nothing. It's just
right.
There's a lot of that going on.
There's very little. There's like a little bit of gore, but there's not really any flowing blood in this movie unless it's the leprechauns, which they can get away with, and that's okay because it's green. It's not like people blood, but it's a fucking R-rated movie, dude. What are you doing holding back? Right. You just ripped an eye out of somebody's head, and the fucking tendons are still attached to the back. Like, let's fucking do this.
Right.
He gets in a few more whacks for good measure. And then more rhymes, of course. He said, they should have been willing to give me shilling, but I've done well by sending them to hell. Okay, buddy, we fucking get it.
Fuck your shilling.
Scott and Tammy take a breather in between a couple of cars, and Tammy says, what are we going to do? We can't fight this monster, and no one's going to believe us if we tell them what we saw. Yeah, that's a fucking conundrum, isn't it? I got attacked by a leprechaun.
It's a fucking conundrum, you think?
Scott sits up, and he's flashing back and forth between his normal form and his leprechaun form. And he says his insides feel all twisted up, and he goes, oh my God, your fucking, she says rather, oh my God, your face, man. Like, it looks pretty much normal, hence horrifying. But It's also like leprechauning out a little bit.
Yeah.
Scott looks across the street and sees the pawn shop, and he tells her that's where he found the coin. Maybe they'll find some answers there. So meanwhile, Lep is still walking around Mitch's body, sniffing the air for his shilling.
Yeah.
And he goes, there's a gentle fragrance of a lady's perfume, he says. And that's the fucking, trail he ends up following.
Mm-hmm.
But we cut over to Loretta, who's holding the coin and praying that her wish comes true as well. She says, let me be beautiful. Give me the body of a stacked 20-year-old. And this moment when she breaks a little, and there's some honest to goodness great acting here for a second. And of course it comes out of her, of all people in this movie.
Right.
Go figure, it took a horror veteran to do it.
Which in general, she doesn't do a great job in the movie, but compared to everybody else.
Oh, she's leaps and bounds above everyone else.
But she's bad still. We were just talking about how bad her accent was earlier at one point.
Sure, but that's the character she's playing too. Like,
right.
She's supposed to be that, like, embodying that spirit. But
I think she's got a typecast thing going on because she's kind of a hillbilly in Texas Chainsaw 2 also, and it also has the same kind of...
This is more of a New Yorker, like, when she tells him, she's got great body language too. When she tells him about where Mitch's office is, she's like, the elevator, go left, then a right, and then like doing all this like gesticulations with her hands. She's far better than anybody else in this
I would
movie.
say the best of the movie, but in general, maybe not. Maybe not great,
Yeah, she was kind of annoying me as Stretch, I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
But when she looks in the mirror and gasps out the word, please. Hell yeah, Caroline Williams. Like, this is very good. You can see the desperation in her eyes. You can hear the hurt of a couple decades of people telling her she's not good enough, and she just wants to look good so people accept her and desire her, which is not an unreasonable request. But that's about all we get of great acting to be spoken for in this wretched movie. She says, I want to be sexy and beautiful again, and she's like on the verge of tears, and finally she says the magic words, I wish. And of course the coin glows, and we cut back to the casino fucking floor because we can never finish a complete thought in this movie.
They don't want you to turn it off. They're trying to build suspense.
But back on the casino floor, she's now in this little dress, and her hair is all cut short, and this is her sexy,
hey.
I guess. It's not doing it for me personally, but might be a generational issue in terms of style, but
God damn, Loretta.
Looks like she's got her wish, so good for her.
Loretta with the ass?
She flips the coin and kind of shakes her tits for the people she's walking past. And some guy in the background goes, yeah! We cut to Fazio in his dressing room, and Loretta knocks on the door and comes in, and he's like, what the fuck happened to you? He's like, how is this possible? She says, magic. All I had to do was wish for it. She's admiring herself in the mirror and says, I wish I was a man just so I could screw myself right to the floor. She flips the coin, and Fazio grabs it in midair and runs out the door. She tries to wrestle it back from him, but no dice. She goes back to the mirror to ogle herself some more, And Fazio runs around the corner and wishes to be the greatest magician in the world. Oh shit, dude. Have you ever seen Aladdin? This doesn't end well. But after he makes his wish, he runs off, and we cut back to Loretta, who's enjoying herself until the leprechaun pops up in the mirror behind her.
Ooh.
And he's floating backwards for a second and starts in on his rhyming again, of course. He goes, your boobs are big, your butt is small. Wait a second, who wants that? A small butt? That's not good. He finishes it with, still you're in for quite a fall. Didn't you hear? Bigger is good, but jumbo is dear. I'll give you boobs that come out to here. And a crazy thing is about to happen. But can we just appreciate for a second how precious it is to hear this little nasty pervert, this gross little leprechaun saying the word boobs?
Boobs.
It's the most innocuous word to use for him. He's grosser than that. Give me a tits.
You boobs.
I don't know why, but it made me giggle every fucking time. He does a little magic flourish here, and Loretta cries out, no, my babies. And she runs back to the mirror, and her chest inflates to a comical degree. And he says then, he goes, those delightful lips will get you some tips. But what about these? Are they big enough to please? And her lips start blowing up as until she has a damn duckbill on her face.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And here's the line to top all the others. Leppy's going, a delightful little slut, but what about your butt? Bro. Boobs was enough. We can't have the leprechaun calling this lady a slut.
Called the shit poop.
Bit overboard. But when he says it, her ass starts blowing up like a damn parade float. And so we got Howard the Duck waddling around this dressing room. Lep is laughing his ass off. She tries to run away, but her hips are too wide to fit through the door now.
Right.
And, You know it's about to be bad news when we suddenly see the leprechaun standing there holding an umbrella.
Right. This is the best scene in the fucking movie. I think.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
She literally starts cracking the door frame with her hips. And then Lep opens up his umbrella and she fucking explodes all over the room.
I loved it. It's my favorite part of the fucking movie.
He spins the umbrella like he's fucking Gene Kelly or something. Meanwhile, Scott and Tammy break back into the pawn shop. Not sure why they didn't just come in through the door, but whatever. Scott remembers the CD-ROM from earlier and fires that back up, and it tells him if you destroy the gold, you destroy the leprechaun. But mortals can never resist the power of the gold. Ah, yes, the treasure. Just ask Papillon about that. Tammy's like, fuck that, we're destroying it for sure. But now Scott is lapsing into the leprechaun himself again, and he's like, how dare you say you want to destroy me gold? She's like, fucking excuse me, dude. And Tammy picks up the medallion, and he starts freaking out. He can't even look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, look, man, let's just hit the road while we still can. She says he needs a doctor, and he says, I can't do that yet. There's something here that I either need or want very badly. I'm not sure which.
Starts fucking sniffing around.
And he tells her maybe she should go, and she goes, no way, I'm not leaving you. Fucking why? Once again, you met this dude 4 hours ago.
Right.
He gave you a ride to work. That's not like cause for a lifetime commitment.
Magically in love.
We cut to a hilarious shot of the leprechaun just jaywalking across the street to the pawn shop, and Scott and Tammy walk back into the room searching for more clues, into the back room, that is. And he's sniffing around, and suddenly he says, wait here, darling. I think I'm onto something. And he follows his schnoz over to the safe the leprechaun put the gold in earlier. Now Scott is able to use magic, and he gets this thing open, and he looks at it, and he's like, oh, isn't that lovely?
Right.
And Tammy says, okay, now, let's do the sensible thing and destroy it. And he says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold your horses there, little lady. We can't do that.
Not my gold.
She's like, dude, what is happening to you? He's like, nothing. I'm just being sensible. And his Irish accent and leprechaun impersonation is nothing short of horrendous. Like, it's almost painful to watch.
It's on par with Lep for me. I don't... It's all bad.
Well, he grabs her saying, don't take a leprechaun's gold. And she's like, get the fuck off me, man. And she slaps him. Ooh, more foreplay. And just then, who walks in but the leprechaun himself, of course. And he says, 2 leprechauns is one too many, lad. And he stalks toward them holding the axe again. And Tammy says, quick, use the gold, wish him dead. And he says, all right, I wish you were encased in cement at the bottom of the ocean. All right, that's actually a pretty solid wish. That's like the best case scenario, really.
Right. Turns out, doesn't fucking work. You can't use this gold against him. Go figure.
The leprechaun reacts like sarcastically. He's like, oh no, anything but that. And then, yeah, his physicality when he says, you silly little twit, have you forgotten the charm? A leprechaun's gold can do him no harm. And he magically pulls a pallet out from behind them that they both fall over. And Lep says, for pulling this trick, I'll chop off your dick. And he runs at him with the axe, but just misses, unfortunately. I would have liked to see that. But Scott throws the coin he grabbed from the pot over Lep's head, and it distracts him, of course. And Tammy picks up the ball, or a ball, and throws it at the leprechaun and knocks him right over like a milk bottle at the county fair. And she mentions as they run out that she pitches for the Vegas All-Stars, apparently. There's like a women's softball team or something.
Right.
And I love Lep's next line as he's trying to recover, and he shakes his head and goes, oh, me aching noggin.
Stupid.
So Scott and Tammy run out, but Tammy grabs the medallion on the way. Good move. And they run across the street back to the Lucky Shamrock to grab his car. And you can see his face starting to change more. And by that, I mean his eyebrows are much fuller. Almost got a unibrow thing going on.
Sideburns.
The transition shots are fucking out of control in this movie, dude. As they get in the car, we get another shot of the leprechaun just walking across the street. Like, in terms of pacing, I don't need that shit. If only it weren't so enjoyable just to watch this little dude walk around Vegas.
Probably.
I would complain more.
I was thinking about that when I was watching this, and it's probably because they took the time to take those shots and they didn't pause Las Vegas for this movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, especially with the backdrop of Vegas and crossing the street and
shit.
Which,
like those cars are just real fucking cars that are just in the shot. You know what I mean? So they're probably like, all right, no, we spent money. We spent a whole day out there. Use it, you know? Yeah. But yeah, it's pointless. It's pointless. It's dragging out the unnecessary runtime of this movie, which isn't even that long. Anyway,
this movie is like 90 minutes. I think it could have been 75. You know?
Please.
But him walking across the street, that must be a challenge for him with his tiny little legs. Like, why doesn't he just teleport all over the place? You know what I mean? Like, why is he walking at all? If I was a leprechaun, I would fucking disappear and reappear where I want to be.
Right.
Which he definitely does throughout this franchise. He's always fucking doing that. So Tammy drives Scott to the hospital, and it's great how close he gets. Like, as the car passes out of frame, it reveals the leprechaun standing behind it. Like, he was almost up to him. And they go to the Buena Suerte Memorial Hospital in Las Vegas. Buena Suerte meaning good luck in Spanish. Of course.
Did you check to see if this was real? Can't be real.
I don't think the place is real. It's just the hospital that they go to that they call the Good Luck Hospital, you know, like just to be on theme. So yeah, we can't fucking catch a break here. Even the names of places have to be some sort of Irishy. But Tammy examines Scott's bite mark, and it's looking fucking terrible. It's definitely infected. And speaking of looking terrible, his face is all fucked up now. A bunch of green shit all over the place.
Right.
So Tammy gets the attention of one of the nurses who literally just holds a finger up in her face. And a doctor walks up and takes a look and says, what the fuck is going on here? She's like, oh, we need to get this dude into isolation immediately. So why wasn't the nurse reacting that same way? You know what I mean? She was just like, hang on a second, I gotta take this call.
I can't believe the doctor was like, everybody fucking back up, you know?
I don't know, dude. If I saw this dude in my waiting room.
That's what I'm saying. Get the fuck away from him.
Seriously.
Mask up.
So she tells Tammy to wait here. Nobody can be with him until they know what the issue is. Cut back out to the street where the leprechaun is now fucking hitchhiking. No way anyone is picking this dude up.
You'd be surprised.
Oh my God, that'd be such a bad idea. Somebody yells at him to get out of the road and he flips him off with his enormous fucking finger. And so these doctors wheel Scott into this enormous fucking hospital room, clearly on a set, you know, on a soundstage. No hospital has rooms this fucking big. Unless it's for a specific purpose. It's like a lab or something.
What about one of those observation rooms for...
Maybe, yeah. I'm sure there's variations of everything.
Stadium seating for the people to watch the operation.
Oh, the operating theater.
Right.
Okay, I gotcha. They cut his shirt off and his skin looks awful. Like it's all mottled and infected.
Fungus.
She says, it looks like some sort of virulent fungus. Ew. And they start him on an IV of antibiotics. And back out in the waiting room, of course, there's a slot machine that this dude is playing. Like, Jesus Christ, Vegas, get a grip, dude. You do not need a slot machine in your waiting room at the fucking hospital.
I can't clarify, but I literally would not be surprised if there was like a line of
Neither would I.
VLRs, you know,
right.
Digital screens.
Jesus.
Blackjack.
So Tammy pulls the medallion out of her pocket and studies it for a minute. Pretty sure that was just to get her to open her blazer again to get another shot of her tits.
Yes.
It's all very intentional is what I'm trying to say. So just then the leprechaun comes waltzing in, all decked out in scrubs and a lab coat. He's got the little covers on his shoes and hat, like the fucking like the cap that they wear
right
is over his whole fucking hat. And he's carrying a clipboard around. Pink scrubs, no less. Why not green?
Yeah, I don't know.
But he's got his little pager hooked to his shirt. There's a stethoscope hanging around his neck. He's ready for fucking business. The doctors try to sedate Scott. Then we get some more topical humor, still as depressing now as it was 30 fucking years ago.
I got a good laugh at this shit, dude.
And the doctor says, listen carefully, son. This may mean the difference between living and dying. Do you have health insurance?
Yeah. Totally unexpected, though, is why it was so fucking funny,
It just pissed me off. You know, like
you didn't enjoy that one? I mean, you got to laugh with the reality.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. That's the only way you can fucking make it okay enough to live through. But Scott says, do you take Green Cross?
Yeah, right.
And he sticks his tongue out and there's a bunch of nasty green shit on it. In the morgue, a guy is there eating a sandwich, of course. There's always food in a morgue in horror movies. I don't understand that trope.
I like it. It's
like, I think what it is this is my everyday life. This is a job for me. This is the shit I see literally every day. I gotta eat. I gotta have lunch. Like this shit doesn't bother me anymore. But I'm like, God damn, dog.
They usually set the sandwich on top of the body, you know,
something like that. Yeah, man. What if you drop some like formaldehyde on your sandwich? And, like, no, thank you. But he's also listening to a Walkman or something. So he thinks he hears something, but it doesn't really amount to much. Back in the waiting room, there's a sign that says Gamblers Anonymous. When you've got the itch, we've got the meeting. Meeting every hour on the hour. God damn, people got problems.
Yup.
Over the intercom, we hear, Tammy Larson, please report to the morgue. And she's like, no way, man. He fucking died? Back to Scott. and the medical team, they're drawing his blood, and it's green as can be. And the doctor asks for his encephalogram, and it's just a printout of a bunch of clovers stamped around this paper to spell out, fuck you.
Right. As cheesy and as stupid as it was, I kind of enjoyed it, you know? Like,
yeah, it's fun. That's like, what I'm saying about this whole fucking franchise. Like,
it's rounding out.
It's still fucking fun, okay, man? Like, I know that you're not much for the fantasy shit and the leprechauns and the magic and whatever, but, like, it's still a good time, dude.
Why does it say fuck you, though? You know?
Because it's the leprechaun just fucking with people, dude, like he always is doing.
It's not like his heartbeat. It just says "fuck you."
Yeah, and the EKG results aren't much better. That's just stamps of a dancing leprechaun.
Right.
But back to Tammy running through the halls to find the morgue. Yes. The doctor walks back into. He's got Scott's cash, and he says, "Damn, maybe he doesn't need health insurance." And the nurse asks if she should order more tests.
Yeah.
Now that they see this like $100,000 plus, sum of money.
Yeah, I said, we should probably give him 2 more EKGs, and they start.
Yeah. He says, run every test that starts with the letter A, and then tomorrow we'll go to the B's, etc.
Right, and he's like counting the money and shit.
So Tammy walks into the morgue, and she's actually doing some good acting here too. I'd say she's probably the third most talented in this movie behind Warwick and Carolyn Williams.
Starting with her boobs, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's also that. But her voice is cracking as she enters, thinking Scott is dead. And she walks around calling out for someone, but the place is deserted. And she finally finds the guy from earlier sitting in a chair, and it somehow spins around on its own to show us that he's been stabbed by all kinds of medical tools. I really wish I had seen this incident. Right. If we're doing a horror movie, this would have been one of the coolest fucking things that happened. And she screams and she runs right into the leprechaun, who pops out from under a sheet on a gurney. And he sends her flying back onto one of her own and magically straps her down to it.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, "Let me go, you son of a bitch." And he goes, "Oh, now, that's no way to speak about me mother, bless her greedy soul." And Scott comes in the other room and magically controls a bone saw to cut the restraints off of him. And he stands up and says, "Now, me boyos, I'll be checking out." And the doctor pushes the nurse toward him. He kisses her, and she falls to the floor. And then he makes a mask latch onto the doctor's face and pulls him under. A mask as in it's got like the, whatever the gas is. Yeah, exactly.
It's goofy.
As he falls, he ends up sticking a hypodermic needle of the sedative he was trying to give Scott into the other nurse's ass instead.
Right. Yeah, so everybody's down instantly for some reason.
So they all go down without much trouble. Scott takes his money back and then gets a whiff of the other leprechaun. Speaking of which, he tells Tammy right here that he's going to slice up her face. Oh shit, man.
Yeah.
But I love that he put on surgical gloves and now they're all ripped up because of his ridiculous claws. So what's the point?
Right.
Like, these things are fucking, insane. Lep tells Tammy he wants his shilling, and she pathetically squeaks out that she doesn't have it. And he's getting ready to cut her nose off when Scott barges in.
The old Irish Scott, though.
You're right, exactly. Oh, Scott.
Cut her nose, I'll cut your toes.
And I'll hack off your toes. Yeah, what the fuck? Good one, I guess.
It's a leprechaun showdown.
Right. Leprechaun makes a pillar of flame appear in front of Scott, and Scott tells him Fazio has his coin. And he goes, "Fazio's magic, pathetic and lame, will soon turn tragic, and me shilling I'll claim." You're stretching, dude. At this point, you're really stretching.
Yeah, that's about enough. Thank you.
Scott screams, and all the straps on Tammy loosen so she's able to sit up. And she walks over to the leprechaun and holds up the medallion to him, and he cowers off from it, of course.
With his middle finger up. And I got vibes here. I was laughing so hard this morning because I just thought of like mini-me in that stroller going away, like as finger at the last second, like.
Right. Well,
so fucking stupid.
When he's rolling off, like he's the gurney he's been on this whole time starts magically rolling away.
It's just rolling.
But that's where he flips him off, like without even turning around. He doesn't look at him to do it.
He's just a little finger there.
Yeah.
So fucking stupid.
And he holds the bird he's flipping at him all the way until he rounds the corner. He never puts it down.
Yeah.
So
it's just like that scene from Austin Powers, man.
We cut back to the casino and a shot of, well, you know what? Now that you say that, might I say that the scene from Austin Powers is a lot like this scene from 1995, way before Austin Powers.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, we cut back to the casino. We got a shot of Fazio's cardboard cutout advertising his midnight show. And it's a much different vibe than last time. Like, he does this burning beauty routine from earlier with a different assistant now.
Mm-hmm.
And the room is full of people, and they're all applauding quite a bit. And, oh shit, it's actually not an assistant. It's an audience member. Damn. So they got some serious faith in this fucking magician.
Right.
And, son of a bitch, now Fazio is now rhyming. This is out of control. He goes, trapped inside a burning hell. Will she come out alive or medium well?
Wow. Too much.
We're close to the end. It's fine. We got this. we can do it. Tammy and Scott are in the car headed back to the casino to stop the Leprechaun. This dude is starting to look like fucking Teen Wolf or some shit.
Oh, yeah.
And he says he's part of the Leprechaun. He has to destroy him to save himself. So she says, maybe we can just wish you back to normal. And he starts sounding kind of Liverpudlian when he goes, I don't want you going in with me. Like, are you John, Paul, George, or Ringo? She tells him, no, we started this together. We're going to finish that way. Okay. And Fazio tells the audience that if anybody is squeamish, they should leave the theater. Like he thinks he's fucking William Castle or something. And his delivery on this next line is insane. He goes, Fazio's illusions are very, very real. Are you fucking asking me? Are they?
Why do you sound like you're unsure?
So he fires up this flamethrower, and as he does, the Leprechaun pops out of the box on stage, and he strikes an Elvis pose as we get that Danny Elfman score kicking back in. Everybody starts laughing, so Fazio just kind of goes with it. He's a decent showman after all, it turns out. And he asks who the Leprechaun is, even though he's got to remember him from earlier, right? I mean, come on, he conjured up a pile of shit in his hand.
What smells?
So the Lep asks for his coin back, and he says, no way. Get out of here before I call security. And the Leprechaun ends up turning the tables on him. Before you know it, Fazio is in a box, and the Leprechaun is running the show now. He does a little air hump. And Fazio says to let him out, and he's like, oh, don't worry, I will. And he grabs a tiny little leprechaun-sized chainsaw. An electric one, though, and that takes a little bit of the pizzazz out of it, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
But Lep asks the crowd if he should cut Fazio in half, and they all start chanting, yes. Damn, dog, your crowd turned on you quick as shit. So Scott and Tammy finally run in, and Lep gives Fazio one last chance, but Fazio thinks he's bluffing. He grabs the coin and says, I wish I was in Caesar's palace right now. And Lep stops him there and says, no, dude, you already had your wish. Only one per customer.
Oh, yeah, damn.
So he starts sawing through this box. Sawdust is flying everywhere, and eventually blood starts spraying out. Fazio drops the coin and it rolls into the audience, and Fazio's last words are, Caesar's palace, and then he fades out. This has got to be the best gore in the movie. When the Leprechaun finishes sawing and runs down to pull the box apart, we get his fucking, like, intestines spilling out and shit, and they're, like, still connected via, like, each side of the box.
I thought it looked like pumpkin guts.
A little bit, yeah, sure. But I mean, I said the best gore of the movie.
Right.
I like Lep's choice to stay in character and continue to make a show of it, though. Like, he's waving his hands around like, ta-da! Scott and Tammy run into the auditorium and tell everybody to get the hell out of Dodge, and for some reason, the Leprechaun thinks this is a good time to send a waiter flying through the air.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounded like a good idea at the time. Scott dives at him, but he disappears. See, that's exactly what I'm fucking talking about. He does it all the time. Suddenly, it's fucking chaos in this casino. People stampeding out of the theater. Kind of gave me Demons vibes a little bit, actually.
Right.
Keep an eye out for that episode coming soon, y'all. Tammy finds the coin on the floor and announces it, drawing the Leprechaun's attention. She tries to wish something, but Lep interrupts her, ripping her blazer off and knocking the coin to the floor again. And then he tells her he's going to peel her like a grape. What a fucking terrifying thing to say. And I've heard it before. So people, do people actually peel grapes? It seems like so much work for so little reward.
Yeah, what? I didn't even really, it didn't really register. Yeah, you don't, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, the kid from Jumanji post-monkey transformation runs back in. That's Scott. I'm talking about Scott. Oh, shit. I just realized that movie is from the same year, actually. Jumanji?
Is it really?
Yeah. So Scott says, get away from my girlfriend, as the Leprechaun is like, wait, man, bros before hoes. And Scott tries to burn him with a flamethrower, but again, he disappears. And he walks out from behind another table and says, Scott, come over to the green side. I'll make you rich. And he makes his pot of gold appear next to him. And he looks like he's about ready to accept the offer.
Right.
But Tammy convinces him that they're nothing alike. And Lep says, just put the flamethrower down. You can't hurt me anyway. Yeah, that's true. But what I can do is burn this fucking pot of gold, bitch.
This is a long, drawn-out decision here, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's extremely uneventful
Right?
and not entertaining.
I was thinking, like, this gold has to have a low melting point, too, right?
Alexa, how hot does a flamethrower get? Kidding.
Can a flamethrower melt gold?
Right.
Scott torches the pot, and Lep starts screaming like the Wicked Witch. Oh, what a world. The pot of gold disappears, and the leprechaun is now on fire instead. He starts floating through the auditorium and eventually falls in a burning husk. And Scott doubles over in pain as Tammy tries to help him, but once he falls, the curse lifts and he's regular old Scott again.
Oh, shit.
She kisses him, of course, for some reason. Listen, man, nobody is good enough for Barbara Crampton, and nobody is good enough for Tammy, okay? Especially this little dweeb. We get a few fades showing us the leprechaun's corpse burning entirely down.
Mm-hmm.
And then we cut to Tammy and Scott walking out of the casino, and he says, I can't wait to leave this all behind. And she goes, we won't be leaving it all behind.
Right. She
And
still has the fucking coin.
pulls out that single coin and tells him, check it out. We can have just about anything we want. Can you, though? Because doesn't it require the leprechaun to be there to grant the wish, and he's now dead?
I would think so, but at the same time, like, he wished to be on a hot streak, and the leprechaun swung at him and was like, God damn it, my coin, and it was just gone.
But the leprechaun was obligated to grant that wish, which he did. And then Scott ended up at the casino, but he was there to grant the wish. Like, now he's gone.
Okay.
He's dead, apparently.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But she hands him the coin, and he hands it right back, leaving it up to her. And she thinks it over and decides she already has everything she wants and tossing it away. Daw, how fucking adorable, huh? He decides to answer that with a movie quote and says, you know something, sweetheart? This could be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Jesus Christ, never mind. Tammy, go get the coin back. Abort. But with that, they walk out of frame and we fade to black. Holy hell, the end. Mercifully, that is the end. For now.
So
What'd you think, Jason?
So I watched this a few times, and the first time I thought this was a complete piece of shit.
Accurate. As much as I love the leprechaun and everything about the whole fucking world that he lives in, yes, accurate. This movie is not good.
Right. And my second time through, I hated it a little less. This is riding the line of being good for me.
It's kind of right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it needs less leprechaun and more tits and more gore.
So hear me out here. Less leprechaun in a movie called Leprechaun.
Right, that's the issue. That is the issue. I think I kind of like the bad acting and the goofy banter, just everything. Right. But as soon as the Irish comes back and he starts rhyming, it loses me.
Okay, let me ask you this. What do you have against Irish people?
I don't. I have red fucking hair.
I was gonna say, it looks like you shouldn't have anything against Irish people, but if you do, we're gonna have some words.
Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I don't like the idea, but not as bad as I thought. The next time through, I don't know, man. Fucking 2 out of 10 goddamn shillings. All right,
goddamn shillings.
me fucking shillings. I don't know. Like I said, I kind of appreciated it more the second time through.
Sure.
But still.
Which bodes
not a
well.
fan.
I think we just got to keep you, like, we'll put you in a theater and we'll put the little eyeball clamps on you like Clockwork Orange and make you fucking watch them. You'll like them plenty before too long.
I didn't like any of the camera. It was just all overall. But like I said, I like bad.
Yeah.
And that's what's weird.
And that's what I was saying. It was like kind of in your wheelhouse in the sense of like those cheesy B-movie kind of like schlocky, almost exploitation, like maybe not quite to that point, but sometimes,
Right. Oh yeah.
But like you're into all that shit being like the gore guy, and like it makes total sense. And as soon as you said that, I saw what you were talking about, because I'm like, yeah, this basically is that
Frank Henenlotter vibes.
Yeah.
On some of this, like, just it's terrible writing.
Yeah.
And it
was
so
resembling
bad.
Frankenhooker when she was dancing around for Mitch and
it was
shit. Like,
so close for a second, but just didn't go far enough for me,
Right. And that's part of the problem. I think if you have an R rating, go for it. Earn the fucking R rating. Like, you pulled an eyeball out and you bit somebody's arm and it was bloody, and there's a pair of tits. I guess 2 pairs of tits if you think about it. With the girl that was on the screen and then the robot.
Right.
But go further. You already have the grace to explore the rating that you've been. Well, it wouldn't have happened until after the movie was made, I suppose. But you know what you're going for, so fucking go for it.
Right there.
Right. I don't know. Like the Leprechaun, like I've always said, holds a special place in my heart as one of my first horror experiences as a child. But yeah, dude, I gotta be honest. This movie is a real piece of shit. The forced transition scenes every 5 seconds are out of control, like bad script, bad acting, not very competent filmmaking in general, but you know what? It's still fun. Lep himself is still great, and I dare you to find a better option for St. Paddy's Day, you know?
Right.
If you want to watch some horror, fucking put some Leprechaun on around St. Paddy's Day and you'll be sitting pretty. But overall, I gave this one... Watching this movie as an adult, I just, and especially someone who regularly reviews movies, I'm like, man, this just doesn't cut the mustard.
It's not good.
It's not good. I gave it 1.5 out of 5 titty robots. So like overall, you can probably skip it and be just fine unless you're a weird Irish freak like me and, enjoy watching this nasty little bastard run around wreaking havoc. But yeah, man, it's not great.
I'm planning on this being my only visit of this franchise.
Yeah. If you're going to watch anything, I would probably say maybe stick with the original. If you're into goofy shit, I would say try this one, try In Space, try In the Hood. I think In the Hood is probably a better overall constructed movie.
Right.
But it's a franchise about a leprechaun, guys. It's not going to be top tier.
Yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Well, do you have anything else to touch on before we wrap up here, or are we good to go, you think?
I think we're good.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. We had a good time. We hope you did too, even though we were talking about Leprechaun 3. We're going to catch you on the flip side, y'all. As always, dreams are fleeting. Only nightmares last forever. Follow your nightmares.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
I bid you welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Cinobites Podcast. If you like what you heard, follow us on our socials at Cinobites Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and X.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. It really goes a long way in helping us reach more listeners.
You can stream the Cinobites on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and many more popular streaming platforms and YouTube.
Questions or comments? Suggestions for future episodes? Contact us at cinebitespod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show and help us make it a better product for you, subscribe at cinebitespod.buzzsprout.com.
Until next time, keep following those nightmares. Suck on that shit, bro.
Dude, it hurt my mouth already.
Getting some tongue fatigue.
Nuh-uh.
No, now I'm fucking confused. I need to get down to the bottom of why there's fucking crumbs there. Told you the house is depressed right now. That was right after its pint of ice cream.
They're always after me, Lucky Charms.